building. Hold up. Wait. How many of you have had breakfast this morning? How many of you are waiting for me to give you breakfast? How many of you signed the deal to be here because they promised you will meet Anita Erskine and she will give you breakfast? So ladies and gentlemen, when I ask if Africa is in the building, whether you are hungry or not, be hungry for the power of Africa and be hungry for the reality that you are the innovators. You are the ones with insight. You are the ones who are going to make impact. So when I say is Africa in the building, from Ghana to Nigeria to South Africa to Morocco to everywhere in the world, they have to hear us as Africa in the building. You know, it's so funny. I said to my colleagues, if Davido were coming, you Africans, you would be here at 7:30 a.m. But because I've asked you to come and learn, you're taking your time. But you know something? I don't hold fault. It's okay, because you know what? It is our time. It is our time. So I'm going to ask you, what time is it? And you're going, relax. When I ask you what time is it, you say it's our time. Are you ready? Yes. Madam, are you ready? Yes. Here we're not being ladies, so we are changing the status quo. So ladies and gentlemen, what time is it? Hey, who's that? So we're starting a bit late. It's not African time, oh. That one is not African time. That one is technology and having to fix a few things time. But each and every one of you is warmly welcome. I am so proud. The diversity in this room, the colors in this room, the women in this room. Where are you? Where are my women? Let's show the men we're more than them. Girls, are you in the house? Boys, are you in the house? Ladies, how did you let that happen? Ladies, are you in the house? All right, we have so much to do today. So we're family, we're together, it's our time, but we're celebrating 5 powerful years. 5 years of dreaming, 5 years of doing, 5 years of crying, 5 years of making mistakes, 5 years of correcting them. But 5 years that are really inspired by not just an ambition, but a responsibility. These 5 years started in 2019, and that's the video you were watching. But we're bringing it to this very moment when we are going to be showing you exactly what has happened right here, right now, 2023. Take a look at the videos.
This is the heart of Africa. This is the future of Africa. In 2018, ABH was founded and our journey began. Since then, we've held 5 competitions with close to 100,000 entrepreneurs applying and 1,000 volunteers judging applicants.
Hi, Nawa. It's a very impressive presentation. I'm very impressed by what you've done so far.
We've created a business network of heroes who support one another to succeed.
No matter what happens here today, you are going to go places.
Thank you.
Our top 10 from the last 5 years operate in over 52 countries, served over 37.5 million customers, raised over $153 million in investments. 42% of our heroes are women. Many are first-time founders, and all of them have created over 123,000 direct and indirect jobs for their fellow Africans. Today, we see the results. African innovation, African insight, African impact is everywhere. And today, we celebrate that. It's a day of ideas, exchange, and growth. Talks, debates, podcasts, showcases, workshops, and networking. With visionaries from across Africa and the world, all ahead of a world-class pitching competition. Welcome to the 2023 Africa's Business Heroes Summit.
Don't you love it? Okay, so for those of you who don't know who I am, how many of you know who I am? Hey, no hands. Hey, no hands. Oh, nah, God bless you. I'll triple your pay. Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Anita Erskine. I'm the official host of the Africa's Business Heroes, and it's a role that I take with all seriousness because I get to be part of the future we're making. And talking about future, you've seen it. Look around you. It says African insight, African impact, African innovation. Everybody's talking about AI, but we're putting a spin on it. We're owning AI. So when you hear people talking about AI, say, that African thing. Because it's time for us to own the greatness of the continent. So our spin on it is African innovation, African impact, African insight. And throughout this morning into the afternoon, these are the conversations we're going to be having. It's not easy to come to our 5th anniversary. It's not easy to do what we do, but as I said before, we do it because we believe in the continent of Africa, and we believe in Africa's youth. You are the power. You are what the world has been waiting for, and with you, there's absolutely no excuse. I want to say a big thank you to our speakers, to the judges who have spent more than 20,000 hours, to our partners who believe in our dream. It's crazy, but they've stuck with us. So a resounding round of applause for the people who've come together and who've said, we believe in the ABH philosophy, in the ABH dream. But of course, for you in the audience, we're also very grateful for you. Actually, you, sir, the one taking me a picture, I'm coming to you. Please, can I have a microphone for him? I want him to tell me what he thinks about my dress. No, I'm just joking. Please give me, don't lie to me. Please give me a microphone, because one of the things we also really appreciate is the fact that you've each joined us this morning because you know and you believe that there's something you're going to hear and something that you will leave here going to share with your communities. Give to him. Good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Is the microphone on? Speak louder. Do not be afraid of me.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. Stand up so that everybody can see you. That's why you wore the jacket for me. What? What's your name?
Lambert.
Lambert. And Lambert, what do you do?
Research.
Research. Lambert, what do you hope to hear from what we're going to do today? What do you hope to leave with?
Inspiration for also entrepreneur. I'm looking for inspirations because I'm thinking about 5-10 years I'll be doing business.
That's it. How many of you are here for inspiration? How many of you are here to learn? I love that. Very well. And I don't know him. Please, this wonderful answer is because he is genuine about wanting to learn something. So Lambert, please sit down. Who else?
Thank you very much.
Who else can I come to? My dear, get off the phone because you know I'm coming to you. Sweetheart, come. Come. I only have 30 seconds, so let's make it fast. I love your boots. Please come and stand here so everybody can see your boots. Damn, girl. Okay, and what's your name?
Okay, my name is Yvonne Fiamabule.
Yvonne, this is going to be a wonderful morning, a wonderful afternoon. If I come to you at the end of the day, what are you hoping to tell me that, Anita, when I came to the summit, this is what I learned?
Okay, I hope to learn a lot from this. Okay, this is my first time here, and I really hope to learn a lot from this place. Thank you.
And then I'll be teaching you a lot as well. Ladies and gentlemen, please give it up for the lady in the boots. The truth of the matter is, we wouldn't be able to do any of this without our sponsors who believe in us. And when I mention their name, please give them a resounding round of applause. The Jack Ma Foundation. And Alibaba Philanthropies. A round of applause. Now, we are really honored to have an esteemed representative of these two organizations joining us today. Now, he is partner of the Alibaba Partnership and board member of the Jack Ma Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, give a resounding ABH welcome to the one and only Mr. Sun Li Jun to share a few words. Thank you, sir. And kindly, please take a look at the screens for the translations for Mr. Sun Li Jun's speech. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm very sorry I don't speak English. 尊敬的各位嘉宾、创业者、女士们、先生们，大家早上好，我是孙立军，很荣幸能够代表主办方代表为第5届非洲创业者大赛致辞。2017年7月。马云先生第一次访问非洲，被非洲青年的创业热情和激情感染。2018年8月，非洲创业者大赛创立，计划用10年的时间，用实际行动支持非洲创业者，帮助非洲青年实现创业的梦想，并为非洲创造更多的就业，推动非洲人才培养和经济发展。今年是非洲非凡创业事业的第5年，也是一个里程碑。5年来，我们看到大赛已经吸引了来自非洲全部54个国家近10万名创业者报名，同时吸引了900多位来自非洲和世界各地杰出的创业家和知名的投资者作为评委参与大赛。5年来，我们看到围绕数字经济的创业热情不仅在中国大地，也燃烧在非洲大地。数字技术与创业的结合，成为非洲青年的一把钥匙，来解决非洲社会面临的各种教育、医疗、经济等各方面的挑战。尽管过去2年，世界面临诸多的挑战，但创业者们坚韧不拔。我们惊喜地看到，创业者们运营人工智能、大数据、区块链等前沿技术，打造许多具有颠覆性和创造性解决的方案。比如在农业方面，有创业者利用数据打造为农民高效销售农产品的平台，还有创业者在技术推动非洲食品处理的工业化，在教育领域为物理、化学、生物等科学教育上提供虚拟的3D 实验室项目的运转。在医疗领域方面，创业者们在社区搭建科技诊疗诊所，让病人平价享受世界级的医疗。在可生能源方面，非洲生产低成本的燃料砖，降低做饭成本，保护森林资源。他们利用技术和创新改变了人们的生活，并为人们创造机会去同样改变社会，是不折不扣的非洲英雄。今年的大赛更是前所未有的关注，聚集了非洲各地顶尖的创业者参与，代表了非洲大陆最具有创造力和潜力的力量。大赛共吸引了来自非洲54个国家2.7万名创业者参与，其中女性创业者占比34%，是历届之最。决赛项目覆盖了农业、教育、培训、能源、金融服务、医疗保健、制造等零售7个行业，处处闪耀着推动社会的创新光芒，让我们感受到非洲的蓬勃创业精神。值得一提的是，今年的大赛与卢旺达颇有渊源。正是2017年，马云先生在卢旺达参加活动时，被非洲的创业精神所打动，创立了此项大赛。阿里巴巴 EWTP 项目首次落地非洲大地，也是在卢旺达。去年，非洲创业者大赛项目还把非洲的办公室设在了卢旺达。 我想向罗旺达表示我们最诚挚的感谢，感谢他为我们创造一个鼓励和支持创新的环境，也感谢非洲创业者大赛的当地运营。我们携手为创业者提供丰富的资源和便利的创业服务。最后，我向所有的参赛者致以最热烈的掌声。你们的勇气和决心将激励更多的人加入到创业的行列中，为非洲的大陆发展贡献自己的力量。最后，真心的代表组织方感谢大家，谢谢大家。
Mr. Sun, thank you so much. Thank you, Mr. Sun. Thank you. Now, ladies and gentlemen, there's power in diversity, there's power in language, there's power in so many different things that make us united, bring us together. That's something really interesting. I'm going to deviate over here. See this? Of this one. Okay, good. Thank you to my maker. Now, young lady, we've heard Mr. Sun, and thank you so much, sir. You speak Mandarin.
Indeed.
Sorry?
Yes.
Now, the first time I heard this young, beautiful woman speaking Mandarin, I said, sorry, eh? How do you say in Mandarin, this is going to be a spectacular day?
今天的活动肯定会非常成功。
Relax. Alexa, how do you say, I'm so hungry, I need to eat a lot of bread right now?
饿死我了，我要吃饱。
Alexa, how do you say, the weather? Ladies and gentlemen, that's how exciting it is. Please put your hands together for none other than the wonderful head of partnerships and programs at ABH, Mrs. Zara Beatty Boateng.
非常感谢先生从中国远道而来参加 ABH Summit。这场盛会不仅仅是一场活动，更是阿里巴巴对社会责任的坚定承诺。正是有了马云公益基会和阿里巴巴公益对 ABH 不可估量的支持，我们才能够组织这样一个有意义的项目，才能对许多非洲创业者的人生产生了积极的影响。非常感谢。Mr. Sun, thank you so much for coming from all the way from China to support ABH 5th Year Summit and Grand Finale. Thank you also for the Jack Ma Foundation and Alibaba Philanthropy's dedication to realizing the promise to support African entrepreneurs that Mr. Ma made in 2018 after visiting Rwanda and Kenya. Ladies and gentlemen, as Mr. Sun shared, Mr. Ma became inspired by the entrepreneurs that he met, the vision he saw, and the passion that they had, and so announced his commitment to making entrepreneur heroes right here in Rwanda. And so it's fitting that 5 years on, we're back where we started. We've remained inspired ever since, and as you'll see over the next 2 days, it's for good reason. So in many ways, ladies and gentlemen, today is a celebration of that 5-year journey toward the realization of Mr. Ma's commitment and the achievements we've made along the way. But it's also so much more than that. It's a chance for us, as ABH, alongside our community, all of you gathered here, to reflect on who we are and where we're going. So who are we? We're a community of over 50 inspiring top 10 heroes who are innovative, insightful, and impactful. These are businessmen and women who are changing their communities and whose stories are enabling ABH's vision of inspiring millions to pursue entrepreneurship. Not entirely convinced? The stats speak for themselves. Our 50 top 10 heroes represent each region of Africa, and together they operate in 52 African countries, serve 38 million users and customers. Collectively, they have raised over 150 million in investment, and they've created over 123,000 direct and indirect jobs, and are 42% women. I think they deserve a round of applause. Their collective and individual achievements propel us to go further, dream bigger, and drive toward our mission of strengthening the African entrepreneur ecosystem. And yet, as phenomenal and essential as our heroes, some of whom I can see here, are to the life of ABH, they are not all that make ABH. We're also a community that over the last 5 years has had over 900 judges from all parts of the world collectively volunteer over 15,000 hours of their time to support African entrepreneurship. A community that is represented right here in this room. In fact, today we had over 7,000 people registered to join the event, many who are watching online and who are yet to join us, running on African time. But thank you all for your interest and support. Thank you for being here. We're humbled and appreciative. We're also privileged to have first row seats in the growth of our heroes and the wider entrepreneurial ecosystem. In our 5-year journey, we've seen friendships form among our heroes, judges, and partners. In fact, one of our heroes is godmother to another hero's baby. Business partnerships develop between East and West, North and South. We've seen exchanges and learning. We've also seen heroes support each other through the challenges of entrepreneurship, through COVID-19. We've seen heroes quadruple their revenue and expand their geographical footprint after receiving the ABH grant. We've seen judges become investors, heroes become mentors. And we've seen our own growth. Last night, one of the 2019 top 10 heroes said to me that seeing the scale at which ABH is operating now and hearing about our augmented reality stage tomorrow, he feels he missed out and that in 2019 they were guinea pigs. And while that is the furthest thing from the truth, I think you'll see from tomorrow and today that we've grown in leaps and bounds since 2019. And so this, ladies and gentlemen, is ABH. ABH is a community, and dare I say it, it's a movement. Over the next 2 days, we're bringing the best of this community to the fore. At the summit today, we've drawn on our community of heroes, of partners and judges, and friends to bring you a summit like no other. We have 45 speakers from 19 countries that are with us today. Among them, we have entrepreneurs, we have economists, experts, we have investors, and they all come to the summit with the same intention to support African entrepreneurship, and because they too believe in and exemplify AI as we've reimagined it, African innovation, insights, and impact. And so what are these terms that we've coined and that you can see on the banners around? African innovation, the novel solutions African entrepreneurs have developed to address the problems facing them and their communities. Do you know an African inventor? Does anyone? Can anyone name an African inventor? Okay, if not, no problem. You're gonna meet one today. African insights, the perspectives and knowledge African entrepreneurs have of their communities, which enable them to create adaptable and scalable solutions. And finally, African impact, the data and stories that highlight how these solutions are creating transformational change in Africa and the rest of the world. But our speakers will get into this, so I'll stop here, and I'll conclude with a look towards the future. Where exactly will we be in the next 5 years? I'm not sure. But what I do know is that this community that we've built and the impact our heroes are creating will inspire millions for years to come and significantly contribute to the growth of Africa. We're privileged to be on this journey with all of you. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, oh, Zara. Well done. All right, Zara, thank you very much for setting the tone. Thank you very much for taking us through the business of the morning. And now, my microphone is dropping, but give me a microphone. In life, you have to take the lemons and make lemonade. So please give me, you see, that's what you do when you're a hero, you know? You don't sweat the small stuff. 1, 2, aha. Ladies and gentlemen, Now we're moving into the aspect of the summit for which you are here. And this is broken down into 3 pillars. We've got African innovation, African insight, and African impact. But just in case as you're here, you're wondering what else there is in store for you, audience, you get a chance to ask a few questions and our heroes will have a chance to answer them. Additionally, I want you each to scan your QR codes. It's at the back of your, have you seen them? If you don't have data, don't worry. So scan them. Those of you who are good students saw them and you scanned them already. Wonderful. Now, when you scan them, you get an outline of the program for today, right through to the end of tomorrow. Today, you get a chance to meet and greet with the heroes. I believe that may have been, the time may have been shifted a little bit because of the time we've started. But ultimately, you get a chance to interact with them, ask them questions, and we've also got extraordinary workshops for you. So please take your time, go through what it is that interests you, meet these heroes, meet these judges, meet these speakers. If you have dreams and ambitions, I bet you any one of them would be more than happy to share with you. And now, ladies and gentlemen, are you ready for the summit? Hey, are you ready for the summit? All right, let's start off with African innovation. It's not so easy to look at a problem and decide that the problem stops with you and the problem stops with an idea. But it's not so easy to create that solution and sell it to the rest of the world. It would have to be really innovative. It will have to be life-changing. And that's what I present to you in our first pillar of our African innovators. Ladies and gentlemen, we have a TED Talk style that's coming up in this first batch with our African innovators. They'll take the microphone, they'll speak to you directly. Please, with an ABH round of applause, welcome our first speaker, Muhammad. Is it Muhammad Ali, the one I know? Ladies and gentlemen, Muhammad Ali, who is part of our top 20 finalists for 2023. Muhammad, you're welcome.
You're welcome, my brother. You're welcome, my brother. Go ahead.
Oh.
You can always use my microphone if you like.
Hello? Okay.
Yes.
I just want to set up something here. Very small table. That's enough. Hello, good morning. It's okay. Hello, good morning. My name is Muhammad Ali. I'm an aerospace engineer, inventor, founder, and CEO of Powerlock. In 2016, my daughter experienced electric shock from a loose electrical plug. And that day, my life has changed forever. I invented products with safe outlets that can protect her by locking the plug inside and preventing it from being pulled out accidentally. Then no fires, no hazards, very safe. That significantly increased safety at my home. But here another question came up. How many people are suffering from the same problem over the world? Billions. Can I protect them all? I don't know. There are 2 scenarios, 2 business models. First one is licensing by filing patents in different countries and territories and licensing these patents to the potential licensees of the big players. And the other one by manufacturing the products in-house and selling it directly. The first path actually costs hundreds of thousands of dollars. Yet the second one costs more, and all I had just $30,000. It looked impossible. But personally, I never believe in impossible. Building a pyramid is impossible, right? We built 3. So I decided, for better or worse, I start the business and I'll chase my childhood dream to be an inventor and to change the world. In 2018, I quit my position as an aerospace engineer and started Powerlock. I set up shop in a room in the countryside, starting by 1 worker making the product in the morning and me delivering orders by my car afternoon. Having nothing. I spent all the money. I have no experience in business, no experience in industry, no investor, no mentor, no connections, don't know how to file patents, how to make licensing. I was terrified. But something got happened. We received the first order, one piece. Wow. It's a way of hope. I drove 100 kilometers to deliver it. And when we got the 5 stars review, I look in the mirror and I say to myself, this is the power of innovation. Actually, yes, indeed, it was the power of innovation. The power that helped Powerlock to grow from scratch, to be market leader in Egypt, in a 100 million people population country, with lots of competitors competing the COVID, the economic crisis, to be the first seller, the best seller in Egypt, is a great achievement. And for the other path, filing patents, I decided to file patents myself. I studied the patent law in different countries to file the patents myself. And guess what? It ended up with more than 30 patents in different countries, including USA, China, Russia, Australia, Europe, Canada, Japan, Egypt, a lot of countries. And we signed license agreements with lots of big companies. I remember the first non-disclosure agreement we signed was with ABB. ABB is one of the biggest manufacturers in the world. And in the contract, they were the interested party and we were the technology owner. A one-employee company was the technology owner. That's because the power of innovation. Today, Powerlock grows from $30,000 to sell like more than $10 million in just 4 years. $10 million. We sold more than 10 million units just in Egypt in 4 years, making profits of millions of dollars. Our products are showcased in the best places, in hypermarkets and retail stores. We signed contracts with almost all big hypermarkets. It's very tough to sign such contracts with these industry giants, especially if you don't have portfolio. But it will be much easier if you have the power of innovation. This power that transformed a draft on a paper in 2019 to be the best-seller extension in France in 2021 in just 2 years, with more than 1,000 review 5x5 in just 2 years. This is the power of innovation. Today, we have more than 70 products in our catalog. Most of them are the best seller in their categories. We employ more than 150 people in the company now. Mostly women came from farms in the countryside. Now they are skillful. They produce these products, these lovely products, and they export it globally. And most important, that now they have a dream. And this is our mission. To empower, to inspire people to have a dream, to believe in themselves, to make the change. Today, we encourage even students in universities. We're linking them to businesses. We make the bridging the gap between academia and businesses, supporting the innovation and the encouraging the businesses to grow faster. The story of iLock is simply not just a startup company, but it's a proof of concept that we as Africans can do it. We can design and produce and deliver what we need instead of importing it, and yet exporting it globally. We can make the difference, and we can put Africa in the position that it's worth it for us. Today, I want to thank Jason, I want to thank ABH for hosting me, and I want to thank all the audience. Thank you so much. I know the dream is huge, but I trust we can do it. Let's make the world proud of Africa. Thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, Muhammad Ali, one of our top 20 ABH 2023 heroes. Congratulations, Mohammed.
Thank you.
And as Mohammed moves his stuff off the stage, please remember to take down the notes, the questions. I definitely will be coming around for those questions at the end of our TED Talk style African innovation segment. Are you having a good time? You having a good time?
Okay.
Sure. And now, ladies and gentlemen, This young lady is the founder of Mukuru Clean Stoves and a remarkable ABH 2021 Top 10 finalist who indeed is revolutionizing cooking. Please put your hands together for none other than the founder of Mukuru Clean Stoves, Charlotte Magai.
Good morning. My name is Charlotte Magai. I'm a 2021 hero. She said finalist, so I'm just correcting her. I'm from Kenya. I grew up in one of the largest slums in Nairobi. It's called Mukuru Clean Stoves, and was orphaned at a very young age. At 16, I ended up becoming a teenage mother, which meant I had to drop out of school to figure out a way to fend for my daughter. So I got a job selling charcoal. It was also the only fuel I could afford. My daughter and I kept suffering from respiratory tract infections, and when she turned 2, she suffered a severe burn injury caused by a traditional stove. Now this sparked my interest. I wanted to rewrite the script of possibility for people in my community. Across the world, there are about 3 billion people who rely on inefficient stoves, and this causes harmful effects on them, respiratory illnesses, lung cancer, and the works. It also takes the lives of 4 million people every single year. We're changing that at Mukuru Clean Stoves. We use recycled metal to manufacture improved cook stoves that enable families to reduce fuel cost, to burn fuel for longer, reducing radon, and to just protect their children from burns. Over the last 6 years, we have distributed 400,000 clean cook stoves across Western Kenya, enabling families, thank you, enabling families to make savings of almost $50 million in fuel consumption costs, and impacting the lives of women who distribute our stoves to the last mile. This improves their household income by $7 every single week. But that's not all. We're innovative, and in 2022, we won the Earthshot Prize. It came with $1 million. And a question, what more could we do? Now I'm a dreamer, and I believe that there's a privilege that comes with abundance, not that of abundance itself, but the privilege of being able to dream. So let me paint a picture. I'm in Nairobi, in my kitchen, with my daughter, who's 13 now. My kitchen is safer. I'm not afraid to cook with her in there anymore. And I read a report by the CDC, and it basically states that people are still catching malaria, even when they have access to mosquito nets. And they're arguing that they are catching malaria while they're cooking. And my daughter is like, oh my God, Mom, they're using your stoves and they're catching malaria. She tried to make it my problem. So then I had to create a solution for her. So I came up with a new idea to infuse pyrethrin, which is the most powerful insecticide in the world, and Kenya and Tanzania are the biggest producers in a fuel, enabling families to protect themselves from malaria as they're cooking with a Mukuru Clean Stove. We've managed to do a lot over the last 6 years. We managed to get Prince William to make a burger on our stove, just saying. But more importantly, we've managed to educate the masses on the importance of using a better stove, even when you feel like it is not a priority. Because when you earn $40 to $100 monthly income, a $10 stove is a decision that you have to make over a period of several weeks. I guess the people in this room could really afford $10, but someone living in a rural area in Kenya who worries about the food that their daughter is gonna have for dinner, that's not a priority. It's not at the top of the list. Now, Mukuru Clean Stoves is setting up a sustainable energy campus in Kenya, 300,000 square foot. Like I said, I dream big. And what we're doing there is trying to prove that Africans can innovate really well and impact the lives of the people that we live amongst every single day. And so I'm standing here not to tell you how I have been able to lift myself out of poverty to provide a better life for my daughter, but to encourage you to keep innovating with Africa in mind, to keep dreaming and to keep following your dreams, and to look at the numbers on the screen and be like Charlotte and want to impact 2 million lives. and create 107 green jobs, because I have done just that. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, our top 10 hero, Charlotte Magai. And now we move on to yet another hero with an exceptional innovation. Please warmly welcome our 2019 Africa's Business Heroes first runner-up, the CEO of Nawa Scientific. Please welcome Omar Sakr.
Good morning. Mic check. All is okay. Thank you, ABH, for having me again and again. And guys, one thing you know about ABH, once you're in the family, you're always in the family. They really take good care of their family. Okay, how many of you actually know that Africa has more than 1 million scientists working in the fields of natural and medical sciences? They are mostly bright-minded, well-educated, graduating from top universities across the globe. But unfortunately, all they have is a bunch of insufficient and outdated research facilities. This is, my friends, is one of the main reasons why the scientific ecosystem in Africa is so much behind and our output is not matching the global scientific output. So what can we do about this? Shall we go and fundraise and start to bring money for each single university and equip every single university with every single machine? Of course, this is not feasible, and to be honest, even impossible. So, did this problem happen in the US and Europe so that we can go there and search for a ready-made solution that can we implement in Africa? The answer is no. This is a very African problem, and therefore we need the sort of AI mentioned today, Africa innovation. In 2015, together with my friends, we launched Nawa Scientific, and we invented a business model to sell scientific services online in an e-commerce format. Let me walk you through this and tell you how does this work. So our clients who are either individual scientists or corporates would log on to our platform. The platform is designed in an e-commerce Amazon-like style. We take them through a journey where you basically pick up the types of analysis you want us to carry for you, add to cart, pay online, check out, and goodbye. What happens next is very seamless. The platform is connected to the courier comes to the client, pick up the samples, bring them to us, we do the analysis, then we revert the results all the way back online. So do you see the beauty of what we're doing? Now, regardless of your location, and regardless of the equipment you have in your own place, you can do amazing level of research. We are becoming the lab for everyone. And instead of going and chasing every single university in every single city in Africa, we're building this, a chain of state-of-the-art research facilities. We call them the scientific hubs, located in the corners of the continent. And then we connect those hubs to a chain of smaller sample collection offices in the neighboring countries. Therefore, we can cover very quickly, leveraging technology, the whole African scientific ecosystem. So, why are we building this? To answer this question, we have actually to shift our gears from AI as African innovation to AI as African impact. From day one, Nawa was always about impact. We're building this chain of super advanced research hubs to unleash the full power and the full potential of the scientific scientists to solve African problems that no one else would solve for us. And we are empowering the second generation and the third generation of life science startups and biotechs to leverage our network of hubs, and therefore we spare them the high and expensive cost of advanced analytical equipment. We have grown from a small lab, 300 meters square, into the biggest private multidisciplinary research center in Egypt with more than 2,200 meters square, 36 labs, 13 different specialties, and not only in Egypt. As you can see now, we are operational in Egypt, in Jordan, in Saudi. We have a sales office in Poland, in Warsaw. Next year, hopefully, we will be also operating in Lagos and in Cape Town. So the way we see it, Nawa is becoming an African multinational in the making. We have employees out of 6 nationalities, and even the ownership of the company belongs to people coming from 12 different nationalities. Through our journey, we have achieved a track record of accreditations that so far is not matched in Africa. We started with the local accreditation from the authorities in Egypt. Then we were internationally accredited when we got the ISO 17025 back in 2019. And then just a few weeks ago, we celebrated becoming the first and the only lab in Africa that is US FDA approved and accredited for food analysis. Thank you. Now, as African scientists, we can be very proud that our labs are by all means non-inferior to any state-of-the-art lab in the US or Europe. And you see the impact of this on our growth curve. We were on certain trajectory. Back in 2019, you see that trajectory shooting to the roof. I've been in the market now for 8 years, making multiples year over year. But guess what happened also in 2019? We won the 2nd place in the ABH, and we got this extreme boost, and you see what ABH effect can help you to do. We have analyzed, since we started, more than 400,000 samples, coming from more than 5,000 customers, resident in 12 different countries. The team, which started as a 4-member team, has grown to over 150 plus members, with more than 26 senior scientists, PhD holders coming from top universities across the globe, really making history, and we're bringing to the market a combined more than 500 years of scientific and business expertise. Ladies and gentlemen, a few years ago, I stood more or less on a stage like this. I addressed the judges, the audience, the investors, and I told them, please give science a chance in Africa. Today, I'm thanking you all for your support, but it's still the beginning. So today, again, and one more time, please give science a chance in Africa. Thank you so much.
So I remember in 2019, Jack asked you if you had a family.
Yes.
Correct? And
yes.
then he said, he asked if your family was happy.
Yes.
Or something like that.
Yeah, this was Mr. Joe.
Was Joe, and then you had to say they were happy.
Yes.
You didn't have a choice.
Yeah, okay.
No, but because of time, I really would have taken the microphone to you. Actually, I'm going to do it anyway. Hello, Mrs. Omar. You're going to tell us the truth about
Can I have a round of applause, please, to my family?
You're going to tell us the truth about your husband. Are you happy?
With Omar or with the or with the event today?
With him.
Alhamdulillah, I am happy with myself. I am happy with my life, and I am happy with my husband.
Well, so Jack said it, and it is true. You have grown because your beautiful wife and your children are happy with you. Jack is a visionary. You may get off my stage.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Omar. And now, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring to the stage Natalie Jabangwe. And Natalie is the Group Digital E-Executive Officer of Sanlam. And she is basically telling us about innovation and making a case on why Africa should be at the forefront of innovation. Okay, she's having her mic fixed, yeah? In the back? Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, in that case, I have money for one of you. Madam, you have enough money. $300 cash. Who wants it? Who needs it? Who will use it to invest? Mr. Fred Swaneker, you don't need my $300. Surely. Ladies and gentlemen, a round of applause for Fred Swaneker, Chairman, African Leadership Group. But listen, we're going to go for a break because we all need to stretch and we all need to do, things. I need you to please take a look at our showcase. It's innovative. It's extraordinary. Don't miss out on it. Take pictures. But I'll tell you what. I've got $300 worth of ABH swag. And I'm looking for the person with the best social media post. The best. My phone and my tablet are here. I'm going to check. And when you take that picture and you post it, don't forget to hashtag ABH at 5, ABH Summit, ABH, what else? It's our time. Please, ABH at 5, ABH Summit 2023, and hashtag It's Our Time. Are you ready for a break? And during your break, use it wisely. Speak to somebody you don't know, exchange business cards, or scan WhatsApp now, or scan your ding, whatever it is, okay? You will be back here in African time. 6 minutes. 6 minutes. I'm not joking. Whether you're back or not, I'll start without you. The break time is for 6 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, have a good time. Don't forget $300 worth. Take that picture, post it on social media, and use the hashtag. See you in 5.5 minutes now. Let's go. Ladies and gentlemen, if you could kindly leave the stage for a minute, please leave the stage. As the stage needs to be set up for the next session, please leave the stage. Kindly please leave the stage. Our stage needs to be set up. We want you to take selfies, but go outside and take the selfies. Please leave the stage for a minute. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, don't forget, we are on break. Go outside, stretch your legs, take your photos outside, check out the displays, meet new people, and don't forget the hashtags.
They see my bitch, say she a bad. Anytime I knock it out. No rubber band, no rubber band. Every time I put down, they show me that. If I know pull out, she got my back. I'm happy that.
Ladies and gentlemen, we have less than a minute. Please go outside, stretch your legs, explore, take pictures. $300 worth of swag to give away. Take those pictures. Ladies and gentlemen, less than 15 seconds. Please go outside and have some fun. Less than 15 seconds. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please take your seats. We're about to start with our next session. Please take your seats. Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats, ladies and gentlemen. Please take your seats so we can proceed with our next segment. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, we're about to start with our next session. Please take your seat. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Thank you. Please take your seats. Please take your seats. Thank you very much. If I may kindly ask the ushers to please help our wonderful delegates to come back in the room. Wow. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I've got some prizes to give away. Prizes to give away. If I have your attention, I'm going to do a little bit of a quiz. Are you ready for a quiz? Okay. Can I please have my gentlemen and ladies who are helping me with the microphones? Where are you? Where are you? Perfection. If you're ready for the quiz, my first question, and if you know the answer, please raise your hand and one of my wonderful helpers will bring you a microphone. Here we go. Name one of our grand prize winners from the last 4 years. Name one of our grand prize winners from the last 4 years. Can I have a microphone to, sorry, with the brown shirt? Hello? Yes. No, your shirt is white, sir. The lady next to you is wearing brown shirt. Microphone to the lady. Did you know the answer or you just put your hand up? One of the grand prize winners, name one of them.
Muhammad.
Sorry?
Muhammad.
Who?
Muhammad.
Muhammad. No. Grand prize winner. We've had 4 in our 4 years. To be fair, I'm going to send it to this side. You say, I saw you doing Google. No. Okay, give the microphone to this guy. Not you, madam. The guy behind you, I saw him. But anyway, I want to be fair and transparent. To the gentleman in the gray blazer, please. So the question is, grand prize winner for the last 4 years. One of them.
Elliot Timoteo.
Should I give it to him? It is correct. So yes. Where's my ABH swag? Please give it to the gentleman over there. And please, sir, these are not for resale. They're for you. Next question is, what are the names of the 2 shoe brands owned by ABH heroes? 2 shoe brands. I'm going to choose the lady in the red blazer. The 2 brands. Give her a microphone, please. I can't hear her. Kindly give her a microphone. Thank you so much. All right, the 2 of them, not one, both of them.
Kalanga and Enda. I can't pronounce it properly. From Kenya.
No.
Kalanga.
No, my dear, that Kalanga doesn't ring a bell.
From Batu.
Aha, Batu is what rings a bell.
The brand is Kalanga, the company
Sister,
is Batu.
I am ABH. Don't try and define it to me.
Okay.
I'm just joking, but I give it to you. Please give her. You know what you've done now? You prepared me for the grand finale tomorrow. When I get there, Kalanga. All right, thank you. Congratulations. Ladies and gentlemen, if we're ready, for those of you just joining us, you just missed out on winning ABH swag. But there'll be more competitions later on. Okay. So now we're coming to our second session, which we like to call African Insight. These are individuals who are well-skilled, well-experienced. They've almost done everything, but I dare say most of them, though award winners, are just beginning their journeys, and their journeys are exciting. In this segment, as you see, 1, 2, 3, we've designed something we like to call an Insight Pod. These individuals will have a conversation much like you will see or hear on a podcast. 2 individuals will be moderated by 1. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to bring to the stage to talk about the future of content. Welcome my guest, none other than actress and goodwill ambassador of United Nations High Commissioner for Refugees, the superstar herself, the global madame herself, the original boss lady, Nozamo Mbata. We have too much fun at ABH. It's almost wrong. Our next contributor is my small sister from the beautiful country of the Black Star, the original Black Star, Ghana, where the jollof is the best. Oh, please be quiet. Hey, sister. Cook off on Saturday? Maybe. Ladies and gentlemen, please bring to the stage the award-winning superstar, film actor, soap actor, TV actor, theater actor, singer, choreographer, dancer, sports enthusiast. I mean, mother, wife. I was going to say grandmother. But ladies and gentlemen, please put your hands together for the extraordinary Na Ashoko Mensa Doku. This conversation will be moderated by, if you have followed his trajectory, then you know indeed it's African time, it's our time, and all the things we've said this morning would make sense. Please welcome the global superstar, the one who makes social media so vibrant, films so beautiful, storytelling so flawless. Please put your hands together for the Chief Executive Officer of NAS Company, Nusir Yassin. Nusir, you have to dance, you have to dance, you have to dance. Come on, come on, come on, come on.
Hi, everybody. Good, more energy, more
Good
energy.
morning.
There we go. Okay, let's begin. We have 15 minutes, okay? And we want to make sure everybody pays attention to our conversation.
100%.
Great. So let's disagree, okay, guys? We will disagree.
Okay.
And then we will agree.
What did we agree? I disagree. Already.
Already exciting. So first of all, good to be back in Africa. I'm really excited. Thank you, ABH, for the invitation. This is fantastic. Today, guys, we're going to talk about the future of content creation. Raise your hand if you use social media or watch TV. That is literally everybody. Now, today we have three very interesting individuals. One person does movies on Hollywood. That is the most premium type of content. Very amazing. The other person does news and journalism on TV. Very important content. Yeah. And the third person just does TikToks. Okay? But we all reach different people in different ways, guys. So what is the problem with content in Africa?
Well, I think the problem with content in Africa is just like controlling the narrative and being aggressive about who we are and portraying who we are. You know, we have to take inspiration from the rest of the world. The reason why Hollywood excels in the way that it excels is because they are aggressive and intentional about who they are, whether it's their music, their art, their film, their television, even their apparel. And then you look at how Bollywood as well is the very same way, very aggressive, very intentional. We also need to be the same way when it comes to African content. We have to be aggressive, we have to be intentional, we have to be clear, and we have to be proud about the fact that we have so many rich stories that are coming out of Africa. I mean, we're at ABH. ABH is going to be a documentary in a couple of years. Yeah. You know, when we're looking back at the numbers of, it started off with the top 10, and now here we are with the class of, 2065. When we're long dead, or still here.
Okay, so you say the problem is that there's not enough narrative told about Africa.
Well, that is clear that it is African content and that we're not trying to emulate the world, but we are trying for the world to also come to Africa and emulate Africa, which is exactly what's happening. Amapiano, Afro beats, in terms of so many incredible entrepreneurs and smart people, smart young people who are leaving the continent and going to these Ivy League colleges overseas and don't come back to Africa. You know, there's a reason why our talent when it comes to different industries is being poached by the rest of the world. We are equal contenders.
We are equal contenders. I like that.
Love it.
Now, what is the problem, in your opinion, when it comes to content creation in Africa?
Well, I think what we need to do more of is tell more authentic stories about the African, about the African woman, about our music, about our people, our culture, our food, our clothes, and so on. Now, it's very easy to be swayed by Western narratives because there's so much happening in the West, and it's so easy to want to be like the West. But what I constantly do in my space is to insist on originality and insist on telling the authentic African story. Who are we as a people? What are the sort of things we like? What are the good things that are happening on our continent and the good things that are coming out of the continent? Those are the things that we need to highlight. So in my work, in my line of work as a television journalist, and I also do produce content for social media, I'm always very intentional, especially, I'm biased a little bit, about producing and telling the story of the African woman, our heroes, and the good and wonderful things we're doing.
Okay, so it's time to disagree.
Okay.
Because I disagree with both of you guys. I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Just to make the conversation interesting. So like you, I come from the Middle East. I'm Arab.
Sure.
And Arabs are portrayed in a different way in Western media, and I did not like that. So I said, you know what? I cannot go to Hollywood. I'm not as pretty as you are or talented as you are. And Hollywood is so like hard to get into, right?
Yeah.
I cannot be on TV. It's so hard to get into. So I said, I'm going to take control of my destiny, and I'm going to pick up a phone and a camera, and I'm going to make videos and put them on Facebook.
Okay.
Right now, the cost of making a video on Facebook is zero. The cost of making a video on TikTok is zero, right? So technically now,
zero. Technically
Africa
zero,
can
but
tell
not
its story.
zero.
What?
Technically zero, but not zero because you still need equipment. And you still
Okay,
need
but
a
the
team to
equipment
help
is
you
your
out.
phone. Does anybody here not have a phone?
Is it free?
Come on. Who here does not have a phone? Get out.
You said you want to disagree.
Who here has a free phone? Free phone? It's not free. There
Okay,
it is.
but what I'm trying to say is, now, actually, for the first time in the history of humanity, African and Africans can tell their story to the world on TikTok and Facebook. Not in Hollywood, because that's really hard. But on TikTok, it's very easy. So what's holding us back?
What's holding us back is the fact that we don't have our own original Netflix. We don't have our
Why
own
do we need a
Amazon.
Netflix? We have TikTok.
No, but we can have a TikTok, but we also need, so for example, outside of Hollywood, right? I don't star in Hollywood movies only. I also am a producer, and we just put out a show called Shaga Ilembe, which tells the story of Shaga Zulu, which is authentically African in every sense.
Right.
It's told from the lens of an African, because we found that so many of our stories are not so much from our gaze and from our own narrative. It's from the West coming in and deciding that this is who you are.
What's the cost
So
of
even
making
with
that content?
250 million rand. But here's the
Oh
thing.
my goodness, what's that in
But
dollars?
here's the thing. We need money to be able to create stuff that is of high quality. To show that people who are your cinematographers, your directors, your producers, your actors can be able to make authentic stuff that is of the scale of a Game of Thrones. And so when we are
That's
at the
interesting.
international Emmys, we also want to be able to be equal contenders when it comes to quality productions. That Africa doesn't produce low budget, because that's the narrative that, oh, it's low budget. We don't have to be low budget. And even if it is, there are Hollywood
Are you
movies.
calling Nas Daily low budget? Is that what I understood?
No, here's the thing. We can't.
What's
be
wrong
able-
with low
we can't-
budget content?
This is what I was about to say. Even Hollywood has low budget. A24 produces low budget films, and low budget in American terms is $2 million. But,
Imagine that.
right? But here's the thing. You're able to take whatever it is that you're able to make from the low budget and be able to sell it. Now, Africa's main concern at the moment when it comes to our content, and I hope there's big players here who are willing to invest in this, is that we are struggling with distribution.
Yeah.
So we can make something that's incredible, that's amazing, and it can be able to have footprint on TikTok, but you still want to be able to, outside of TikTok, get the 65-year-olds who are not on TikTok who want to watch your content.
Makes sense.
Right?
Clear. What's your take?
On producing...
Should we go and get $2 million to make high premium African content? Or should we go and just empower 1,000 TikTokers to make content about Africa?
Well, I think we can do a bit of both. TikTok is consumed by most young people around the world. And the more African content we put on TikTok, the more people around the world will reach with our content. Now, I, for instance, on most of my Insta posts and my TikTok, which isn't doing so well, I will put out content wearing African print, for instance. This outfit I'm wearing is made by Pistis in Accra, Ghana. She's one of the best dressmakers and designers on the continent, in my opinion. I'd want to wear African braids. I want to, every now and again, chip in a bit of Ga, because that's the language I speak, and Ga from Accra. So here's the thing. The more of such content we put on TikTok, the more people around the world will know about our story and what we do and who we are as a people. I like to insist on authenticity and sticking to who we are. The African story told by Africans, the way Africans are.
But last time I opened CNN, CNN has just like Western journalists.
I beg your pardon?
CNN journalism is just Western journalists telling the story of Africa.
Yeah, well, that's unfortunate. But that's unfortunate. We need more Africans telling the African story. And thankfully, we see a lot of new young Africans working and telling good stories on the BBC. The BBC has focused on Africa.
Yeah.
We have Komla Dumodelate, who was telling great African stories on BBC. Now we have people like Komla from Joy FM in Ghana, now on BBC, and a lot of other young people telling the African story there. Bless the BBC for Focus on Africa. But that said, about investing over $200 million or whatever in creating movies about Africa, why not? Why not? I tell you, the best stories about our humanity and our culture are in Africa.
Absolutely.
The best stories about the world stem from Africa.
Totally.
In fact, you can trace a bit of Africanness and Africanity in all the good stories of this world, from who we are. And just, if you've been to Africa and you know Africans, you know that it's more than a continent and people and their color. It's their humanity.
Yeah.
It's the color. It's the wealth in our stories, which we need that money to create, by the way. So let's create the TikTok videos, let's create the beautiful Insta Reels, but let's get good investors. And if our investors are here, there are stories of Kwame Nkrumah we need to tell. There are stories of Yaa Asantewaa we need to tell. We have seen stories about great African heroes, but we can tell them better.
Yeah.
And we need that money to make it possible.
So here's something that most people do not know. When I started NAS Daily, I was living in New York. And I said, I want to make stories. I want to tell stories about the world. Where should I start?
Ghana.
Mama Africa.
Hello.
And so NAS Daily started in Nairobi, Kenya.
Wow. Amazing.
And then Ethiopia,
yes.
and then Rwanda, and then the rest of the world. So I do agree with you guys. The stories in Africa are gold.
Yeah. Right.
Now, what I'm understanding from everything they're saying, guys, to simplify is, to tell the story of Africa, there's 3 directions we can go. We can go the direction of Hollywood.
No.
Let's raise $2 million, make high premium quality content and put it on Netflix.
Yes.
We can go the direction of journalism. Let's hire more African BBC journalists and CNN journalists. And we can go the direction of Instagrammers and TikTokers and YouTubers and empower them with their phone to make content about Africa.
And it doesn't have to live in silos. I think there's definitely, there's such a merger that's happening when it comes to what's happening on social media and what's happening on television. We live in the digital age. There's no way that it lives in silos. We are all so very much connected. You get the best movie reviews on TikTok. You
Correct.
get the best movie reviews on Instagram.
But can we agree that to start telling the story of Africa, we can start with $0?
We absolutely can, but we also need to educate private sector in Africa that it is feasible, that there is a lot of money and commercialization and potential when it comes to content
So
creation.
how can we make money from content in Africa? Tell me.
Keep original and keep authentic. You see, here's the thing.
No, but tell me exactly how.
Yeah.
Where can I get the money?
Where can I get the money?
Yes.
Well, we would like investors, but to be able to pull the investors, we need to show that we have something different. We can't all go the Hollywood style. We can all keep westernizing our movies and westernizing our clothes and westernizing everything. The more original, the higher the probability of good investment, in my opinion. If we're all doing the same thing, well, then we'll all just do the same thing, then why send all of that money there? But if I could give you something different, if I could give you something that you wouldn't get anywhere else in the world, and that's what you get in Africa.
Absolutely.
Original content. The language. You know how many
I'm
languages
making it
there
right
are in
now.
Africa? I don't know how many languages there are in
There's
Africa.
like thousands
Just
of languages.
Thousands of languages.
I mean, here's the thing also that happened at the Oscars a couple of years ago. For the very first time in Oscar history, a non-American film, a foreign language film.
Yes.
A small film called Parasite, if you've seen it.
Yep.
A brilliant film. Won Best Picture.
Yes.
Because it was authentic. It was authentic. So if we are steadfast and aggressive and intent on telling authentic stories about who we are, we can enter the big stages and be able to dominate those big stages without having to compromise on the quality of who we are because we want to play to the West. And before we run out of time, to anyone who is a director, a producer, a writer, or anyone who's wanting to go into this space, it also helps to be able to not concentrate on collaborating up. Collaborating up meaning you are constantly chasing the chief director, the chief whoever. It's important to be able to collaborate across. We are in this room with so many people who are rich in knowledge from different sectors. Reach out, collaborate across, and don't be fixated with collaborating up.
And when you collaborate across, you're able to cut down on so many costs. So if somebody's really good with camera and you're fantastic in front of the camera, you don't have to pay that person because they need you to be able to build on their reel.
Yeah.
You see how it does? So you don't sometimes have to have capital to be able to start. And also crowdfunding when it comes to producing. Crowdfunding means that people can be able to get a producing credit on your whatever project that you may be working on, whether you're on social media or whether it's film and television.
Yep.
When you are crowdfunding, people can be able to get a producer credit and just give you a little bit of money. So you can have 10,000, you can, well, not 10,000, but you can probably have like 60 producers on your project because they have given you that 500, that 1,000,
Community
that 10,000.
funded.
Yeah. So
Go for
crowdfunding,
community
you
funded
must
stuff.
also think about it when you're trying to raise funds to be able to start whatever it is that you need to
Amazing.
start. And do not give up on the first no. Give up maybe on the 10,000th no.
Actually, thank you so much for saying that. On that note, we have 15 seconds left. I want to say we need more things like ABH happening here in Africa because that is really the spark of conversations, of collaborations, of content. I'm really excited for the future of content in Africa. Thank you guys so much for being so cool to chat with. Thank you, everybody.
Nanomzamo and Nasir, thank you so much for that insightful conversation. Wow. You guys forgot about Black Panther making $1.3 billion? But we need the investors. Hassan, would you invest in the African film industry? Think about it. The answer better be yes. Ladies and gentlemen, we move on to the next Inside Pod. You know, all these young conversations, and I call them young conversations because, you know, content has become a big thing since, you know, COVID-19. But I want to encourage those of you who haven't really looked at, you know, content and all this kind of stuff also as a priority because it's also a way to get yourself into a world that you perhaps haven't even seen physically. Speaking of which, speaking of content, I would like to bring to the stage a young lady whose essence is not content in itself, but what the content does to the people it meets. I like to call her a multifaceted, multimedia maven. Young, bright, beautiful, and ready for the world beyond the continent of Africa. And she is so simple, so easy, that her name is simply just Ivy. Woo, 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 woo. Just Ivy, just Ivy, just Ivy, just Ivy. Mwah. And you are going to be doing something exceptional at the grand finale tomorrow. I love you, sweetheart. You are exceptional. All right, so Just Ivy is here to have a conversation with a young man whom I saw last year. I mean, when you look at him, he's so small. You don't think much of him, but when he starts to speak, you know he's a giant of a hero. Tesh, why are you lounging? Respect your big sister and sit properly. Ladies and gentlemen, please bring to the stage the big man himself, Chief Executive Officer, Market Force, and the 2022 ABH Second Prize winner, Tesh Mbabu. Just Ivy will now have a conversation as well with a 2019 Top 10 hero. And he's the Chief Executive Officer of Anchor. Please bring to the stage Mulai Tabure. My brother, you are welcome. Go ahead. Just Ivy, over to you.
Is my mic on? Good. Thank you, Anita. Guys, before I start, a round of applause for Anita. Isn't she so good at her job? I am amazed. Thank you. How is everybody doing? Are we excited to learn? Here, I'm here to get men, African men, to talk about their problems. You know, these men don't talk about their problems, and then they leave us on earth. Other wives appear. We have other children. So today I want you guys to be vulnerable and talk about your problems. And let's do it in a simple way because bombast is beautiful. Lots of difficult words, lots of numbers. You've raised $13.2 million to date. You raised $43.2 million to date. But I want to move beyond those numbers. And let's talk about your challenges in building resilient businesses in Africa. Mulai, what is a resilient business to you?
For me, a resilient business is something that sustains the test of time and the test of stress.
all kind of stress. We are facing economic stress, financial stress. But I think the most important one is the stress when you're a startup of actually matching the market. People don't realize how quick the market moves. And if you only think about what you hear about in the news and forget about your customers, you're probably dead. So that's the main point about what we do. And our customers sometimes don't even know what they want and how much they change. So you become at the same time someone selling them, knowing them, and caring for them. So that's the resilience part that people tend to forget.
Surviving stress. How about you, Tesh? What is building a resilient business? And while you take us through that, I want to know the steps that you've taken to do so.
Yeah, thanks, Ivy. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, so for me, resilience is about being able to bounce back from setbacks, challenges, from failures. I think this applies to personal life as it applies to business. And, you know, business is not a straight line. So you could start doing one thing. I think most of the founders could relate to this, that you see an opportunity, you have an idea, you go to the market and realize that, you know, that's not it. So I think resilience is about being able to adapt to market changes, adapt to situations. It could be internal, you know, co-founder conflict. It could be whatever challenges you face, just being able to get through them and fulfill the mission as a result.
You said business is not linear. Is the process of building this business that is adaptable linear? Can you give me step-by-step process so that anybody who's watching this today as an entrepreneur has a blueprint of this is what I need to do to get my business to be resilient?
Yeah, I think, so first of all, it's a mindset. As an entrepreneur, when you go into it, you need to realize that it's not going to end up the way you thought. You could think like, I'm moving from point A to B, so the destination is super important. Point B is important, but you could think maybe I'm going to fly from Cape Town to Cairo directly, but you could end up going to Nairobi and then Lagos and then Morocco, and then you end up in Cairo. So I think that's the journey of building. So I think the core competence there for both the founder and just how you build the structures of the business is adaptability. So just being aware that you need to be adaptable and building structures and ways to observe and make quick changes when necessary so that you're able to get to the destination.
It could also be then a personality thing. If you're very rigid, risk-averse, you might struggle. Am I correct, Mulai?
Yes, I think when you mention a kind of, if I were to give a formula for resilience for anyone listening, and I generally think about three things. It's a product of three things, and it's a product, it's not an addition. So if either of the things come to zero, you're dead, and you're not resilient. The first thing for me is humility a lot. You need to humble yourself.
Humble yourself.
And you keep doing it every day, listening to the market and your customers and your team. So that's the first thing. The second thing that happens a lot to be resilient, and you need to be decisive. The quickness by which you take the hard decision is going to define whether or not you sustain. And as an entrepreneur, a lot of the times you know the hard decisions. It's just that you always have a million things to do, and sometimes you spend a lot of time on the easy one, and you avoid the very hard ones. And that's probably where you're not resilient, because ultimately you die until you fix the hard things. And to conclude, the last thing, but I think the content creators that speak before will concur to that, is once you're decisive and you're humble, the last thing that people tend to not do, like Tesh mentioned, is not being consistent. You cannot just be intense. A lot of entrepreneurs confuse intensity for the key to success, when in reality it's consistency, because resilience doesn't happen in one day or 1 month or even a year. I've been at it for 10 years now, and I can tell you it's still humbling, and I still struggle to make the decision that I have to do fast enough.
Thank you. Congratulations to you for being here for 10 years. Lots of businesses don't make it there. Lots of businesses don't make it past year 3. Lots of businesses don't make it past year 5. ABH at 5, we're looking at you. Congratulations on 5 years. Let's see how you do after this. Let's talk about unforeseen challenges. The things that I can't Google. The things that we don't mention. Completely shocked you. Give me one.
Oh, there is a lot. I'm trying to think the less violent for you guys. The idea is not to... I know, it ranges from one of your favorite employees stealing from you.
Oh dear.
To...
You have favorites?
Someone that was the most prominent, you know, a young lady that I really counted on to grow in the company, because she was both very talented and extremely hardworking, until you realize that she's been stealing from you for 6 months.
Oh.
So, you know, that's the kind of thing that makes very hard afterward business to continue for you, because people think that entrepreneurs are just about numbers, but actually we're about people.
Yeah.
And when you lose people and when you lose the trust of the people you have, yeah, that's very hard. And another thing that for me that was unforeseen is generally when you realize also that the speed with which the company grows, your own growth doesn't match it yet on some aspects. For example, my job now is completely different than the one I had 2 years ago. And if you don't train for that, it's a very hard awakening, because it's something that people tell you about it. If you read about it, you hear about, oh, you need to change, etc., etc. But I guarantee you, when it hits you in the face, it's never something you've been seeing coming from afar.
Oh, wow. I'm sorry about that.
No, it's normal.
Yeah. And thank you for being vulnerable. And
No,
I'm
my
guessing
pleasure.
to deal with pilferage from employees, processes, systems in place that you really, really had to
No,
work
yeah,
on.
you have. That's how you caught them, and then you put her in jail, you know. But
Yeah.
it's not because you fix the problem that it doesn't hurt.
Yeah.
That's what I really want to make people understand, is you cannot expect this to be pain-free. Yeah. That's the only thing.
Yeah. Embrace that pain.
I don't know if you
Embrace that
agree,
pain.
man.
Tesh is in a bit of pain right now, according to sensational headlines. And I'm sure that was something unforeseen. You are surviving Kenyans on Twitter. I'm very proud of you, because that's a brutal war space.
Yeah.
What's going on, Tesh? What's going on?
Yeah, I think similar to what Liz is talking about. You know, when we started out in 2018, no one would have predicted COVID, for example.
Of course.
So we started the business, we started Market Force as a software company. We're dealing with enterprise customers. So I was doing a lot of the selling, and then COVID-19 hit, and we lost like 80% of our business, our revenue. We had a lot of employees then, and we had to figure out, okay, we had to like really talk to the employees, reduce their pay, you know, figure out how to just survive that period. And out of that period of COVID, Market Force 2.0 was born. So we launched an e-commerce marketplace called Reja Reja, and that ended up scaling quite aggressively. But I think what the main point is, when you face the toughest times as a business, is when I believe the true entrepreneur, the true self comes out. You just realize that, you know, you're more resilient than you actually think you are. I thought that one of the solutions to our problem was capital.
Yeah.
So I always said, you know, if we just raise $500,000 or $1 million, like we're going to fly.
Numbers, yeah.
We raise like millions and millions of dollars. But at the end of the day, if your fundamentals in your business, the unit economics are not right, like no amount of money that you get into the business will save your business. So that's been the most brutal lesson for me over the last 3 years.
Get your fundamentals right.
Get your fundamentals right. And whatever you think is going to be the thing that leads to the success of your business actually might not be. You know, for us, COVID, for example, or the amount of money raised, were things that were unexpected, but they really changed us as a business and enabled us to grow.
I like that. Let's stick to raising funding, because that's what we hear a lot of. A lot, but nobody publishes profits. Do you guys think that's a challenge, especially in Africa, whereby all we post is, oh my God, they've raised millions of dollars, but we don't understand the intricacies of the business? Are you making profit, or you're just raising funding? What's going on?
That's true. You know, I know a few startups that do profits, but I guarantee you, if you send a message to a media saying, "Oh, I made a profit for this year,"
Nobody cares.
You're probably not going to get a lot of attention. But it's pretty much the same thing as, I think, Ivy, you're an expert in financial literacy, and I think it's the same thing as saving money. Like, no one is going to congratulate you because you save money. You just do it for when it's going to be hard, and you just do it because you know it's important. Yeah. But you don't get a boy, you saved a lot of money. Nobody cares. But when you spend, you can get a lot of attention. And it's the same kind of thing. Basically, when you look at, I always tell, because what you're mentioning here and what we're doing today is the same thing why we try as entrepreneurs to do more of these things and try to put more content. That's why I started a podcast, because generally people only talk to us when we raise funds. So we only speak when we talk to. The rest of the time we're working. And to some extent, I think it's our responsibility, and the ABH managed to create a community when we could do that. It's also to speak without being asked. about the things that nobody asks us about. And money is one thing because, like I like to tell my team, and I always tell in the podcast people that money is not a stock. Like we tend to think that you need to get a lot of it to be okay or to be resilient, but actually it's a flux. It's how much you're able to create, and the same thing is true for your company. No matter how much money it's given at one point, it will die if it's not able to sustain itself and create enough of what it's spending.
Value creation, wealth creation. Tesh, I could sense that you are agreeing.
Yeah, I do, absolutely.
Yeah. Anything to say to that?
Yeah, I think one of my, it's actually a borrowed perspective from someone I admire, Paul Graham, and he talks about being a business being default alive or default dead.
Yeah.
And basically it just means that even if you have $1 million in the bank today, and you have expenses as a business, are you going to, by the time you're generating enough revenue to sustain your monthly expenses, will you be able to, basically, will you be able to get to profitability before that $1 million runs out? And that's, I think when you think about fundraising, it just buys you time. It buys you time. So by the time you're finishing that money, are you profitable? Yeah, so that's my views on that.
I love it. Such a serious, heavy conversation. Oh my goodness. I hope you guys are learning, because I am. I'm nodding my head incredibly. I want to get to, let's just be a little bit positive, because you could not have gotten to where you are without doing something right. If you're to go back and start again, what would you repeat? What great decision did you make for your business that you would say, you know what, I'm going to do that over and over, and I'm going to spread that story so that other startups can learn from it?
The thing is, the best decision we took were sometimes the most painful. So if you want something joyful, I'm trying to think. But I'm trying really, but every time I think about something we did right, like you said, in COVID, for example, same thing. We were a marketplace only at the time.
Yeah.
And you know, when everybody locked down, we lost 80% of the revenue, same thing.
Yeah, shipping.
Yeah,
COVID was
we moved
disaster.
to shipping, exactly. And we added more services. So generally speaking, the good lesson for us is always follow your customers. Like sometimes they will bring you into places you're not comfortable, you're not equipped to, but you need to find a way to use your talents to serve them better than anyone else. And if you cannot find it, you need to work around finding the right customers for what you're great at. You cannot just, generally what happened for us was always following them. The best decision we ever took when we decided to stop doing what we knew how to do, to start doing what we knew they needed. At any step and format, may it be at the very beginning to even like a few weeks ago. So that's always the thing that works for us, generally.
Follow your customer. Follow your customer. Tesh?
Yeah, I think for us, we've always been very ambitious as a business. We took a very bold step in 2021. We expanded to Nigeria from Kenya, and that was an amazing experience. We learned a lot. I think what I'd repeat again and again is just one, retaining that ambition, because at the end of the day, like Africa needs innovators. It needs us to think about things and not just think about them, but do them. So just get out of your bed every day and do it. I remember when we launched Reja Reja post-COVID, everyone was staying in their house, wearing masks. Everyone was afraid of contact. Us guys went out and started collecting orders from merchants and delivering using our own car as the founders. And that built what MarketForce is today. So that's the way to turn ideas into realities. Just wake up and do it and be consistent.
Consistency. And just to close, because we keep discussing Africa, how do African businesses take up space in the global market?
Oh, you know, I always tell people it's pretty easy. Ultimately, it's what you set out to build. If you set out to serve the world, you will serve the world. Like Tesh said, ambition is one thing. We're lucky enough to we have proven that you have businesses in Africa that can sell over $50 million in 175 countries. So that exists. It's not a question of it's possible or not. It's just a matter of making sure that the data is there, that people know how to do it. That's why we share the white paper report with all our data to let people know it's not that hard. It's going to be very complicated for you if you don't think about the world as your customer. But I think social media and all of the things that we have currently allows people to project themselves globally. And what we just need now is the same level of exigence as we see everywhere else. If you say you want to do something great, don't half-ass it. Don't try to do something that is okay. And that's it. If you ever have the ambition that Tesh talked about, and like I mentioned, humility, consistency, and you're decisive in how quickly you move, I'm pretty sure the world is your oyster. You just need to get there.
Mindset, as Tesh had said in the beginning. Do you agree?
I totally agree. I think we Africans don't realize the unique position we're in. Reason being talent, like so many young people who are craving for opportunities. So if you build an environment, a company where these people can come in and thrive, it's massive opportunity. The other thing is the population as well. There's a lot of growth. I think it's fastest growth in the world today.
We're pretty young.
By 2050, a quarter of the world will be in Africa, which is crazy. That means that resilient companies will be able to take advantage of that population and really thrive in the future. And I believe that's what we're building. We're building companies not for today, it's for the next 20, 30 years. I think I spent time at Alibaba in 2019. And one of the things I really admired was the fact that they were looking to build a company that survives 100 years. I think that's a real definition of business resilience, just that mindset.
Guys, my time is up. I hope you enjoyed this conversation. Here is to building businesses that survive the next 100 years. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes. Ladies and gentlemen, please a round of applause for Just Ivy, Mulaye, and Tesh. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. All right. Tesh, all the best. Thanks, Mulaye. Thank you, Just Ivy. And this brings us to the last in this session of Inside Pods. We're going straight into the conversation of Africa's green future. Please allow me to bring to the stage one lady that, you know, she's so big, she's so grand, but in reality, she's so small and she's so portable. You can put her in your handbag. Ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to bring the small and yet mighty Chief Executive Officer of Bright Green Renewable Energy and 2020 ABH Grand Prize winner, Chebet Lassan. Look at her. Now, my next, of course, is a woman who, and I say it all the time, every time I see her name, I get thirsty. I want fresh water. Ladies and gentlemen, please bring to the stage none other than the trailblazing Managing Director, Water Access Rwanda, and 2019 third prize winner, Christelle Kwizera. And last but not the least, I will yield the microphone to a great man with a great voice that goes and transcends past our minds, our bodies, and our souls into different parts of the world. The award-winning storyteller himself. Please bring to the stage the one and only Georgie Indirango.
Muraho mngese. Bravo. Okay. Bonjour. We just want a sense check who's in the room. Muraho. Bonjour.
Bonjour.
Habari.
Nzuri.
First one, good that I've heard Kenyans in the room. Kenyans are the only people who say they're late because of climate change. So this conversation is particularly for you, Kenyans in the room. Assalamu alaikum. Perfect. Tuko sawa. Managerian people, how far? Hey, you there? Hey, you there? You're the one who wanted $300. You there? Okay. All right. So, we have the task of making conversations on climate fun.
Absolutely.
It's a heavy undertaking, but for 15 minutes, we'll try as much as possible to get that done. We have, on my right and left, two powerhouses that now the term has come, social entrepreneurs. For the people in the room, social entrepreneurs are people who don't just do business for profit, but for social good. Let's start there. Both of you have made great money doing social good. which is a conundrum in itself, because a lot of people and a lot of young people getting into the space, you come, set up a business case, say, let's say, for example, Chebet, in your case, that you're going to eradicate some certain fuels, have something that's helping with the consumption and what people will do in their livelihoods, get $1 million, get $2.5 million, sell, exit the market. Where's that line in terms of balancing social good and actually being a millionaire in less than 5 years?
Okay, thank you for calling me a millionaire first. Thank you so much. I don't know if there's any entrepreneur who's a millionaire, because we give so much to our businesses, especially if your businesses are close to your heart. So for us, I think one of the primary things for me is why you start what you're doing, right? So, and I think it was Molaya who went ahead of me and said that the time it takes to bring a vision to life is so long that actually the only thing that drives you is your why. You'll run out of money, you'll run out of people, your best employees will steal from you and then leave. So you really need to understand the deeper reason why you're doing what you're doing. And for me, I think that's the reason why we are working on the work that we're doing with Bright Green. It's very close to our heart. So I come from a family where, let me just give a brief background of where I come from. So my family and my grandmother, my mother, they all used fuels that were dangerous for them. And the interesting thing is, in just one generation, my grandmother managed to raise the doctor in Kenya who actually performed the first transplant surgery, heart transplant in the whole of Africa, if not the world. And it came from a resilient woman preparing meals for her family and doing it in such a way that she was so focused on what she was trying to get. And I think this is the story of African women and women across the globe, that the sacrifice is so big, but at the same time, the result of that sacrifice is very evident, but nobody's really drawing that line and making that line clear. And I feel like that's what Bright Green is doing. We're saying, hey, look, cooking is a very important matter in the home. It's a very underlooked matter because it doesn't bring in revenue. I mean, it just takes care of the welfare of people. So how do we make that come to the attention of the world? And that's basically what we're doing right now.
All right, so we'll come back to that. Christelle, when you won, and we saw the videos right before they started, I remember Jack Ma looked at you in the eye, right before he announced the winner, he looked at you in the eye and he said, one of your biggest competitors, especially with supply and delivery of water, was the government, right? And he said, you know, you need to scale more, and you told him, if you give me the money, I'll scale. So he fulfilled his part of the bargain.
Yep.
Did you fulfill yours?
Absolutely. When you're tackling such a huge market like the water sector, so currently there is 700 million people in Africa who don't have safe access to water. So they don't know if the water they drink is safe, and they try all kinds of coping mechanisms to make it safe because water is a basic need. So it's a huge market, and governments, water being a basic need, have all the incentive to solve the problem. Not just the incentive, but the duty to go and solve the problem. But unfortunately, if you look over the last 20 years, access to water in Africa doesn't really move forward. Actually, some cases it goes backwards in certain countries. So what is missing? So yes, we trust governments to do the right thing. We pay our taxes. Sometimes we see progress. But there's always those gaps, right? And there is always things that you need somebody with a personal benefit beyond just doing their duty to move in and solve the problem. That wasn't my motivation when I started, but I know that's a big motivator for people when they see their own personal benefit to go in and solve the problem. And that's where social entrepreneurship comes in. So with Water Access Rwanda, we've perfected the triple bottom line business model around water, where people get water, the planet is spared from harmful global greenhouse emissions, and we make a profit. So we effectively make a model where any entrepreneur can replicate us today, help give water to people, and make money for themselves while not harming the planet, but actually helping the planet. And we have scaled it. So we recently just raised another big round,
Wait, don't stop it. That was the last, you want to end the, we have a big scoop for you. Please, for media in the room, please, Christelle, can you save that for the last thing that we say? There's a big round and a lot of cash that has come into the particular business, but just jump that bit. Can we put
All
it?
right,
Can we
I'll
pause
come
right
back
there?
to that.
Yes, please.
But just saying, water is infrastructure, right? So we have a lot of abundance of water. There's rainwater, rivers, lakes, but why don't we have water in our homes? So that's why we work on. We create the infrastructure to pipe that water right into people's homes. It's safe. You open a tap and you drink. In fact, that's our vision: safe water at the simple turn of a tap.
Yeah.
And for that, we need to raise a ton of money and move really fast. And when we won ABH, we're doing like 3 new communities every year, and now we're on pace to do 1 community every single week. So 2,000 people with almost 200 households connected at home will be getting water every single week in this new plan.
Yes, good. If you're clapping now, you'll clap a bit more later. All right, so maybe let's just break it down between the 3 of us. The business case is very clear. It's social good, it's for the betterment of people. And it looks like by the time you go to market and say, okay, I would like you to understand my business, there's one thing that people don't really think about clearly, especially as entrepreneurs in the space, which is cash that is not good for your business. There's something such as that, where you've been working on this idea for 10 years, you reach and someone gives you $10 million and you say, this is not going to be good for my business. So what does cash that is not good look like? Because people need to understand that.
That's a great question. So for me, one of the things I think is, first, it starts with you. You need to know where you are as a business and what your needs are. Because when you start to grow, I mean, things come hard and fast. So you need to know exactly what you need. For me, I think that the right investor is the most important thing. And how I look at investment, or how I look at investor, is it's a very close relationship. So first, I look at 3 things. 1, the values of the investor. Do they share the same values as I do? And the reason why value is so important is because value is the basis of every decision that you make. Every decision that you make in your business will depend on the values that you have. So if your values and the investor's values are different, then you're going to have a lot of problems. The second thing is the vision. Is the investor agreeing with you on where you're going? Because many times investors have their own vision, and they try to fit into existing companies. So again, if you're not in agreement on the same place you're going, that's not the right investor for you. And then the third thing is expertise. Actually, I'll mention 4. The third thing is expertise. The people who you bring on board need to know about your industry, right? Because as entrepreneurs, you don't just need money. Like, you can have money in the bank and not know what to do with the money, or not know how to, allocate the money correctly for proper growth. So you need somebody who will come on board and actually be able to help you to think about that. And the 4th thing is time. Time is such an important factor because, again, I think it's Mulai or Tesh who said that it takes 3 or 4 times the amount of time to get to where you want to go as you think it'll take. So you might give yourself 6 months to do something, and then COVID hits and it takes you 3 years. So is your investor willing to have that conversation with you? Are they willing to be flexible enough to move with you? And also the aspect of time, are they willing to give you their time to be able to, I mean, if you can't reach someone on Zoom, you can't reach them on WhatsApp, you can't reach them anywhere. Yeah. But when it comes to the numbers, they still expect the same numbers. That's not a real partnership. So I think it's actually very, very hard to find all these 4 things, because personally, I don't think investment is rare. I think it's there. If you're doing the right business, people are looking for businesses. But aligning all these 4 things together with the money is where, I mean, you really need to think about what you're doing.
Perfect. Christelle, I would like to hear the same, but on mindset. Question, I have a few questions. Just answer as honestly as possible. How many of you know about climate change? Just raise hands. Was that a woo for climate change? How many of you know about carbon credits? Why are we wooing? All right, how many of you are in the space itself? Anita. So my question is, we did not know anything about climate change a few years ago. Literally nothing. All we saw was a movie where a squirrel chased a nut over an iceberg and it melted, and they kept chasing, and we didn't know why the ice was melting.
Georgie, I didn't see that movie. Which movie is that?
What's that? Ice Age? Ice Age. See, the actors in the room get me. You see, actors, movie stars, we get each other. So So when we talk about getting even the right entrepreneur, the right business case, the mindset has shifted, and we're now at a stage where people understand climate action well. But the people in the room might have the money, but the people that we're trying to speak to might not understand how to package a thought, leaving my fridge open and leaving it closed, and packaging that into a business case and then getting $5 million. So tell us about the mindset shift and then that bit on what cash is good or bad.
Yeah. Climate change, it's urgent, right? So we're more aware of it because we're finally feeling the effect of it. So heavier rainfall. I don't know if you felt the rain last night in Kigali, but you know, it's intense.
Yeah.
So people are feeling it left and right. And we all need, again, from a duty perspective, to finance the mitigation of climate change, so stop climate change from happening, but also acknowledging that we're moving too slow. So we also need to finance how we adapt and live in a new world already affected by climate change. So although we have the duty, though, we have to figure out how to incentivize people from a business perspective. So carbon credits allow that. They allow movement from people who have money to people who need the money to implement projects that either stop climate change from happening or help communities adapt to that. So one of the best way that's done is through a marketplace, through carbon credits. So in the case of water or even bright green, without us intervening, people are doing activities that harm the planet. So in the case of water, people are using firewood to boil their water to make it safe. Sometimes there's transportation of water in areas where there isn't water, or the use of sachets and plastic that pollute our environment. So if I'm stopping that, how do I monetize that? So that I can keep doing the good work I'm doing. So what ends up happening is effectively somebody who lives in a rural area who's cutting firewood down to boil their water has a value to trade. So if we can give them safe water, and they stop cutting down that tree to boil their water, that's now a commodity they can trade to somebody else who is emitting because of the way of life. So like many people traveled here, took flights, and we wouldn't be here in person having this gathering if it wasn't for the flight. And that caused a lot of emission, and sometimes it's necessary. We can't live in a world where we don't emit, but we need to get to a world where there is net zero. So some people emit, some others stop emitting, or remove the carbon from the air by planting more trees, removing carbon in any other type of way. And so that creates a tradable commodity from those who emit to those who stop emitting or remove carbon from the air.
Gotcha.
And so carbon credits move that money. And so then we have a person who lives in a rural area who maybe had 10 francs to afford their water, but beyond the 10 francs they trade for the water, they trade another 10 francs in their carbon credit because they're stopping emissions. And we effectively create value in a rural, poor area where before there was no business case, but now there is a case.
The climate space version of value addition.
Yes.
All right, I have two last questions. I can see the time is running. This stage, both of you have been on this stage. People love the glamour, the lights. But what a lot of people don't also pay much attention to is how much it chips at you. You're here, you give your business, people say, nah, you've spent your whole life preparing for this particular moment, and people can chip at it and kill it in a day. How are you doing mentally?
Oh, wow, Georgie. I'd rather answer the question about carbon credits. Anyway, so I think as an entrepreneur, it's very important to take care of yourself. You need to take care of yourself. To be able to, you have to give what you have. So for me, I think I've come to a place where my journey has made me arrive at myself. So I know what I need. I need to wake up. I'm a new mom now. So outside even running a business, I now have my own little human that's depending on me. So that has been a big adjustment. And I think one of the things it taught me is that I need at least an hour to myself. So if my day starts at 6, I need to be up probably at 4 a.m. or 5 a.m. Or I need that time at the end of the day just to be able to function and function well. And I think it's very important because you need the best version of you to run your business. And we were talking about this earlier, that life is short, but life is also very long. So a business is not a sprint, it's a marathon. So you need to preserve your energy and make sure that you're allocating it correctly. Georgie, let me spend 1 minute answering the question on carbon credits. Carbon credits, I think, is very important because it is now becoming a currency. It's becoming a new world currency. And when we are speaking about currencies, we need to know how currencies are being valued. At the moment, there's an initiative called the African Carbon Markets Initiative, where we're determining the value of a carbon credit here. So in as much as you want to, give carbon credits in terms of, value in dollars to these people, what is the value of that dollar? And this is where I think as entrepreneurs, we need to start knowing, okay, there's a conversation happening on carbon credits. What do I need to know? How do I contribute? How do I tell what's fair, what's not? Because if you're not speaking up for yourself, then no one will. And most of us know as entrepreneurs that when you go to different countries, when you go to international stages, you're very few of you representing where you are from. So we need to educate ourselves, and then once we educate ourselves, we need to speak up and make sure that things are done correctly. This time round, we don't have an excuse.
Fantastic, and we have media to keep us in check as well, to make sure that the money is not going elsewhere. The final point, we said we have a scoop for you, for all the media in the room. Here we go. Christelle, what is the news? What are we looking at?
It's very simple, really. We've just raised $7.5 million.
That's amazing.
But that's not the exciting part.
That's not the exciting part.
That's not the exciting
No.
part. The exciting part is over 400,000 people that are going to get water in a very short period, again, 1 week at a time. It's going to be something new that we're proving on the stage and showing that it is possible to get safe access to water to the 700 million people currently without water in a very short period of time, because water is a human right and people need access to water now. So
all right. Please give one final round of applause for our social entrepreneurs. We really appreciate you very much. So at this point, we would like to take, since we're going into a break, Anita has very graciously allowed me to take a few questions. Please, if we have any questions from the audience for any of the speakers that spoke today, please just raise your hand. We'll take them pretty quickly. We have about 10 minutes. 1, 2. Summarize your question kindly.
Okay, good morning, everybody. Good to be with you. My name is Felicien Nyumugo, and I'm Felneo on Twitter. So my question is, 2018, I was, in a college, and it was the competition coming in, and I submitted my project. Then I was at the final. Then they say, hey, Felicien, congratulations. This is the final stage, but we are sorry, we are missing the IT stuff in your project. But I was doing agricultural economics. So actually, I wouldn't be, having this software or IT or stuff. Then I was stuck there. Then I went home. I said, what can we do? Then I started with my friends a social enterprise called Daila Plus Rwanda, because you cannot, they say, don't send ducks to the eagles school. It won't help, no matter how you train them. But actually, what I want to say is that we are looking like the innovative ideas, yet the young people don't have the capacity for that innovation, the capacity to innovate. How do you get the innovation interface, like the bottleneck, if whatever you are doing? Then we say, okay, if you maybe introduce artificial intelligence, AI, computer programming to a student doing health, who is a nurse, perhaps he's going to come up with a software in health, or is going to reduce this kind of ridiculous job of nurses. Same to agriculture. So I was expecting maybe this panel to give, how do we ensure that young people have the capacity to innovate? Second, because to be able to think for others, you need to be able to sustain your life and survive. Otherwise, you are just seeking to get by day by day. So how can also solve these challenges of economic strifes in our countries? Thank you very much.
Okay. That's one. We could take another, yeah, and then we'll do three at a time. In the interest of time, please, the gentleman there. Yeah.
Good afternoon. My name is Kalisa Simon Peter. I'm a student. My question goes to the panel which was discussing about the content. And my question is, how do we, because as also when you look on the social media that is happening, TikTok and Facebook or Instagram they have talked about, we are looking at also the content that is being, there's no originality. Yes, we're talking about authenticity, but also still, if you look at the content that is being produced, still it is being inspired by the Western. So how do we bring the Africa, originality in the contents, because that's when we shall be able, because also that will help us to create the identity as the Bollywood have created their identity. How Africans are we going to create our identity, and then we spur innovation and mindset. Thank you very much.
All right. There was, okay.
Hello everyone, my name is Patrick Iradukunda. I'm a designer and a founder. And my question goes to Muhammad Ali, great innovation. And my question are basically insights that he might have gleaned from the process of producing a physical product on the continent and exporting it globally. So I would like him to share any insights or best practices on, one, the process of patent filing in different countries, and also the logistics of exporting a physical product from the continent to a global audience. Thank you.
Perfect, thanks. Anita, can we pick those?
Go ahead. Is Mohammed in the building? Because I know that he had an interview before. Muhammad Ali, not the original one. Okay, he stepped out because I think we have some media interviews, so he's at that. So we answered the first two. And excuse me, gentlemen, I'll make sure that you have a conversation with him when we do the meet and greet directly, okay? All right, please go ahead, Georgie.
Alrighty, thanks, Anita. So AI and innovation within the space. Can we take that? And then we can throw the question to anyone from the panel before I saw, yeah, on inspiration and originality. That gentleman has not seen the African movies that have come out. I have a playlist for you. I'll share with you about 300 African movies and series that you can start on as we continue this conversation, but we'll answer your question. So AI and innovation within the space, at least, yeah.
Okay, the first gentleman talked about capacity to innovate, about it lacking. I beg to differ. I don't think there's capacity. There's a lack in capacity to innovate. I think Africans in different countries in Africa, there's so many people doing brilliant things. Maybe we need to talk about whether they have exposure, whether we can see what they're doing, but I think in terms of capacity, we're more than capable. But I also want to touch a bit about AI and your business. When we all started our businesses, the businesses here are pretty, we're all over 6 years old. There was very little talk of AI in 2018, We've had to learn and we've had to adjust. And this is part of the criteria of the character you need being an entrepreneur. You need to be able to adjust and learn and use what is available to you. When you speak about funding as well, you talked about funding. One of the most important things, even if an investor will give you a lot of money, one thing that makes an investor feel safe is that you know how to do big things with a little money. You need to learn how to be resourceful. Just because you have millions of dollars in your bank account doesn't mean you go throwing parties left, right, and center. So one of the things, like for us when we started actually on my savings. What I had, I had saved over my previous businesses and whatever. But anyway, so we started with our cash, and I learned to be so resourceful with so little that when you start to get more, then you're even able to surpass, some of the expectations of your investor. And they really like when that happens. Like, it really speaks highly about you that you're able to do more. But I'm not telling people to struggle, but at the same time, I'm saying that resourcefulness, I think, to me, has been one of the keys that has gotten us where we are. Yeah. So for anyone in the room who's saying, oh, I've not raised $7.5 million. I'm sure, Christelle, when you started, you didn't start with $7.5 million. So start with what you have, where you are. Just start, and then from there you'll grow.
There was a question on strife as well, like balancing between you don't have enough yourself, but you're expected to start a business. Yeah,
yeah, exactly. I think we all innovate and dream, but sometimes we don't have the freedom or the access to resources that we need to allow ourselves to lean into dreams. And kind of answers to that question is, a call to everyone in the room. We need to invest in one another, to give each other that space to invest in our dreams, to encourage innovation, because right now a lot of investors are from outside. So when they come, what they're looking for sometimes is something more ahead the line. Like I can look at an entrepreneur in their first month and see potential, even when they just talking about their product, but maybe they just went off their jobs and are starting out. So other African entrepreneurs investing in others can allow people the freedom and the room to really grow and invest in their dreams, because currently that's a huge gap. And touching on which a bit, I think one of our conversation we had that's on YouTube was both how we started very small and ended up growing to the scale we're at right now. Right? When we started drilling, we didn't have a drilling machine. We were using handheld augers, which you would drill and you have chest pains for months. And that's where we started, right? We just bought our rig last year, which now we can reach 200 meters in a few hours. Before we used to reach 40 meters in a week, right? But that allowed us to already get the ground going on giving access to water. So I would encourage everybody to dream, start small, kind of reflecting the point of Chebet, but also other people in the room who have the capacity, especially as entrepreneurs who are now making it, to see how we can invest in others who are just starting out.
Got you. Perfect.
Georgie, one last thing. I think it's very important for people who are starting out to know that your vision is in your mind. Whoever you're speaking to cannot see. So the least you can do is try and do something small to show them an example. And then once they see, it's like a currency of belief. It grows. It grows. As people see you do it, it grows. So it's not about catching feelings for, you didn't support me when I was starting out. It's actually, I'm glad you can see the progress that we've made. You're welcome to come on board.
Got you. Perfect. I don't know whether we can, yes, someone came for you, Nomzamo, and said, originality, inspiration, lack of it enough. Yeah.
Well, I think we've been here for a couple of thousand of years, so I don't think there's going to be much originality left. There is power in emulating, there is power in being inspired by what other people are doing, and if it works and it's going viral, that's what it happens. And also you made the gentleman made the point of social media. Social media is not a place of originality. Everyone is copying each other there and just trying to do it better than the other. So that is a different world altogether. When we're speaking about media in terms of newspapers or journalism, or we're speaking about film and television, that's a space of originality, or even emulation. We get inspiration from what worked in 1985, a film that was produced from an African point of view. So we want to be able to be in a space of saying that originality doesn't have to live in just originality. Originality can live from the space of being inspired. Also, there are so many incredible films on the African continent. I mean, Netflix is pushing out stuff. I went to Lagos a couple of months ago where a film called Gangs of Lagos by Jade, who's one of the biggest and best directors coming out of Nigeria, who's making action films that are from a Nigerian point of view or West African point of view, but are inspired by the West. So I think we really also have to change our algorithms, because if you're thinking about babies and you open your Instagram, you're going to see babies all over your Instagram. If you're thinking about AI and you open your TikTok, you're going to see just AI stuff on your TikTok. So what is it that you are searching on your engine? Because, hello, data they're collecting. So that whenever you open any other social media platform, it's going to find you. Or even if you're opening your Google, it's going to find you. So your algorithm also is informed by what you're searching. So if you're not searching for African content, you're not going to see that we are creating and we are dominating.
Absolutely. Love it. We have Wakaliwood in Uganda, Nollywood. There's so many contributing to the continent's GDP. So we're progressing. The last one,
Georgie,
there was a question to Mo.
There's a question there, but I'm going to do this, and everybody's going to hate me, but they'll love me eventually tomorrow at the grand finale. We don't have enough time for the rest of the questions, but here's what we're going to do. Don't forget, we have a meet and greet. Even if your question isn't being asked in the auditorium, you can ask the question directly to the person that you want the answer from. And then, of course, later on, during outside in the lobby, etc., I'm begging you, because we are so many We're about an hour behind. So if you don't mind, with humility and respect and every single thing, I'll make jollof for all of you tomorrow. I beg you, let's move to the break. And we have a break, so you can ask your questions there. Okay? Not now, during the break. Ladies and gentlemen, please forgive me, but I know you understand. Georgie, forgive me, but I know you understand. Big shout outs to Christelle, to Shabed, to Georgie the man. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm sorry we couldn't do more questions, but hey, we'll have a chance to do that. Georgie the man, don't forget, don't forgive me. Send me an invoice. Ladies and gentlemen, it's now time for a break. I like to send you out on breaks so you can take more pictures and then you can post. But of course, during the break as well, interact, ask questions, as I said, take advantage of your 10 minutes? 10-minute break? Good. Take advantage of your 10-minute break, and we'll see you right here in 8 minutes. 8 Ghanaian minutes is 10 minutes Rwandan time. Thank you. 8 minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can ask you to kindly step away from the stage so we can set it up for the next session. Please kindly step away from the stage. Thank you so much.
You can never kill my vibe. Not here with no sacrifices. Everything was taken, you had to make it. Vibe killer, me and no go take
1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Feeling vibes on vibes. I'm freaking dynamite. I blow your candle lights. You know I'm just that type. No, them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill my vibe. Them no fit kill. Them no fit kill. Them no fit kill my eyes. But said, follow the stars. Yeah, you shall find.
Ladies and gentlemen, if you could kindly take your seats. If you could kindly take your seats, please. We're about to move into our last session, which is African Impact. Please kindly take your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats as we move into our last, definitely not the least, session on African Impact. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please take your seats. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, please take your seats. Please take your seats. Allow me to bring us to the last part of our session. Please take your seats. I would be grateful if everybody can sit down. Kindly sit down. Our last session is African Impact, and it's taking the process, or it's taking the procedure, or I would like to say maybe the format of a debate style. But I kindly need you all to take your seats, or I'm going to come to you, and I'm going to put the microphone. All right. Please take your seats, please. Take your seats. I know that a lot of people are beginning to want to go into the other rooms for the meet and greet, etc. That's coming up shortly. But for now, we are finishing and we're coming to our last session. So please, with your attention and taking your seats, I would be most grateful. Those of you taking selfies, thank you so much. The room will get full again. I know that a lot of people have also gone to check out the displays, etc., but we're going to finish strong. All right, coming to our last part, we call this African Impact. And the sessions that are coming up are designed as debates between two great minds at any given point in time, sharing their experience, sharing their thoughts, but battling out where they stand. They don't always have to agree. And that's because everyone has their experience. Everyone has their insight. Everyone has the explanation for their kind of innovation, if you may put it that way. So ladies and gentlemen, hello, Renee Parker. Allow me to bring to the podium our two first debaters. First, the one who has promised me $100 million in investment in the film industry. Hassan, do not laugh that loud. Please welcome Hassan Haida, founder and managing partner at Plus Ventures, a venture capital firm. As an investor himself, Hassan will be sharing the investor's perspective in today's discussion. Please stand where you believe you'll win the argument. Fantastic. My next debater is the Chief Executive Officer at Drugstock, who is also a 2019 ABH Top 10 hero. Chibuzo is an entrepreneur like many of us in this room right now, and he has successfully raised investment. He'll be sharing with us his perspectives on entrepreneurs when raising finance. Now, the debate topic, Chibuzo, please, with a round of applause, resounding one. A money man, eh? All right, so entrepreneur versus investor, exploring the tension points. Gentlemen, as I flip through my cards, just tell us exactly how you feel. Hassan? Chibuzo?
Great.
Hassan, one more time.
Oh, he said great. I said good the first time, so even better than
I
him.
was checking your mic. Relax. The debate hasn't started yet. I'm going to go through 3 tension points, gentlemen, and we'll go straight to it. Let me start off with you, Hassan. Should entrepreneurs aim for visionary valuation? I mean, you're talking about Uber, who was valued in the billions despite not even being profitable at that time, versus the realistic today-based valuation. What are the pros and cons, Hassan?
So I think definitely founders need to be a little grounded in reality. I think they're not, because they're founders. Like by the base, they're not grounded in reality at all. They're trying to create something new, but valuation should be grounded in reality. I think if you try and pretend that you're an Uber when you're just getting started, you're not going to be able to raise any money, probably. And so understanding the market that you're raising under, understanding exactly what it is you can and can't do in the fundraising environment, you should probably be realistic and not try to aim for the sky in your first funding rounds.
Chibuzo?
Thank you. I think with the purpose of valuations is not just about money. I think the purpose of valuation is about setting direction. It's about setting your goals, setting your scope,
in your objectives. And I think that being visionary aligns you to investors who can take you there, bring in employees who would have worked at Google, but because of your visionary direction and valuation, they would want to work with you. And I think that aligns people around big goals. It is important to tie those goals to achievable metrics, but whenever has pragmatism solved problems in the world?
Quite often, actually. So I think that there's a disconnect between what valuation means and at the early stages versus at the late stages, right? Uber was valued at billions of dollars, but at a later stage. At its first round was valued at less than $5 million. So it's just about where you are on the journey is what the valuation sort of makes sense. And at the early stages, I think really a lot of founders come to us and they're like, we've got nothing, but I got a great idea. Please give me a valuation of $20, $30 million. And that's not really a very easy ask. And it's not something that as VCs, it makes a lot of sense for us because at the end of the day, my business is to make money by investing in your business. And if your business is overvalued, then it's much harder for me to really generate any kind of a return. There are VCs that don't see it that way, but that's not my approach. I think a lot of what we saw in 2021 and 2022 was, I guess, an overextension of the world imagining what it's going to look like in the future versus what it actually is going to look like in the future. And I think we've seen a lot of people fall very hard from those high valuations to down to earth really now, or even in the earth with some companies.
I'm happy that Hassan agreed with me about visionary valuation at some point in the company's journey, because I think it's important to have that goal, be ambitious. And the point with creating that space, sometimes you need to potentiate it by having that big Uber drive to get there.
You know, hang on a second, Hassan, you want to fight, relax. But this is a debate, so, he's itching, his knee is shaking. Hassan, go ahead, answer it.
What? No, I'm good, it's fine, he's right.
No, but Chibuso, I mean, I'm looking at, you haven't been able to evaluate drug stock, and a lot of investors have come your way. You've gone to a lot of investors. It hasn't been easy. You've heard quite a lot of no's, and probably these investors have looked at you today and said, oh my goodness, we should have paid attention to him at the time. But how did you address this challenge? And how did you change your approach to valuation negotiations?
So the truth of the matter is that usually, there's usually give and take on both sides, and contrary to what it would look like in the debate, it's usually not going head to head all the time. It's usually a process of discussing through. I remember one of our first investors, he told us to take our valuation down, and for us at the time, I mean, we didn't even understand the whole concept, right? Luckily, we met another investor who was like, no, take it up, because that would take you to the next runway. And they are both on the cap table now. So it was a very interesting conversation for me and learning experience. However, one thing that is consistent is that you should be very focused on what the broad scope can be, but also know what today's journey looks like, but also be quite ambitious.
Okay, now I'm going to move you two gentlemen to my next topic, which is profit maximization versus social impact. So traditional investment tends to heavily focus on, financial returns. Obviously, everybody wants to see their money back. But there is also a trend of social enterprises that places impact ahead of profit. So consequently, there is often tension between investors who are more focused on long-term profitability. Like, I put this amount of money in, please. I have to feel like that money is coming back eventually. And entrepreneurs who say, well, it's not all about the money. It's also about changing the world. Hassan, what do you say to this situation?
I think you need money to change the world. So, it's easy to dream and easy to say we're going to do X amount of impact, but if you don't have any money to actually do anything with, you're not going to get very far. So I think I like investing in founders that have a great impact because their business is solving problems for people, but it's a business at the end of the day. And I think where there's issues and problems, there's an opportunity, and you can sort of fill that opportunity, make life better for people, but also while having a sustainable business that's able to generate revenues and profit and continue to survive and grow so that you can serve more and more people. I think the old-fashioned way of, let's raise money from, grants and free money or whatever, foreign aid money that's coming in, it's not sustainable. So you need to build a sustainable business that can grow and scale and have a positive impact on society as well. So I think that's the way I look at things.
Okay, and Chibuzo?
So before I answer, I'll caveat it to say socially profitable businesses can also be financially profitable. And I fully support that. However, for the purpose of the argument, I would say that having a big social impact dream attracts certain kind of people to your bandwidth, to your network, to your radius, from investors to employees to, for us as a company, one of the things that our longest employees who've worked with us are people who really buy into the impact, not necessarily, the reward or things like that. In fact, I personally find that when people buy into the impact, it's even more motivating than ESOP. And it's fascinating. And I think even when things are going bad, employees that have that social impact, they go with you the long route. I think social impact, we're living in a world where it's becoming increasingly clear to everybody that you need more bottom lines than just financial. You need social impact. We're talking about climate change. The only reason why people started paying attention to climate change was when somebody put a financial cost to it, right? But we need to tackle the world's biggest problems before we have an actual cost to them.
Hassan, how do you feel about tackling the problem before you see your millions back?
I think what Chibuzo was saying is correct. I think you really need to be motivated by a mission. Like, starting a startup is one of the hardest things that you can do. And if you're not motivated by a vision and a mission that's going to drive your success, you're not going to go anywhere. So I think you're right. Like, you need to make sure that you are driven to build something significant that's going to have a significant impact. Otherwise, like, the first couple of obstacles that come up, you're going to give up and be like, that's it. If you're purely financially motivated, that's exactly what's going to happen. So, like, what I invest in is I invest in people, right? So we're investing in great founders that really believe in what they're doing, but on top of that have the ability to execute. They have the ability to get things done. So when I'm looking at an investment, I'm looking for both factors. I'm looking for this drive, this determination, this passion, but also the ability to execute. Because sometimes you have dreamers that are out there and like, we're going to have X amount of impact, but then you drill down and they just don't have the ability to execute or get anything done. Yeah. So the financial part of it helps, show that here's the real impact, here's what we're able to do, here's how we can be self-sustaining. So that's a big part of it. But I agree with you on the missionary versus mercenary thing, because actually that's how I build my team as well. I look for people that believe in the mission of what we're doing, not just are there for the financial return and incentive.
You are agreeing with Chibuzo today. You must have cut him a check, bro.
Yeah.
During the lunch, but okay.
Not yet.
Not yet. On a more serious note, have you ever encountered a situation where this is a social impact endeavor and you're walking away from it, or you're not considering it because you just don't understand or see or cannot visualize when you will make your profit?
No, not really. Most of the founders that come to us as a venture capitalists are sort of self-selected anyway. They know we need to build a business, and on top of that, we're building a business to solve X or Y problem. And that's usually where big problems lead to big outcomes. So we have founders that come to us and say, listen, this is the problem that we have. These are the people that are getting impacted. We will make money X, Y, Z. It will solve this problem for all these people. So there is definitely a great impact for what we're doing, but we're also going to make money. And so this is how we're going to scale and execute and build what we want to build. So,
which brings me to risk tolerance. Chibuzo, are investors intolerable when it comes to risk? Tell him as it is.
So I think the nature of the business as an entrepreneur is to have a large risk appetite. And I think for investors, I think as you move along the scale, you have different appetites. You're not going to expect the trillion-dollar fund to be risking a lot compared to a venture capital fund who is targeting seed. So they have different appetites for risk. Having said that, I do think that it is important for people not to confuse their own view of the world, even though it is necessary for the thesis, both on the investor and the entrepreneurial side, with what is actually happening. And it is important to take calculated risks. Standing in front of a tsunami and hoping that you will be fine is very different from riding in a tsunami in a capsule that, is protected. So I think the important thing is to take calculated risks and, align with people who also understand, because you also don't want, to be the only person. For us in drug stock, we always have one person who is conservative and we're having conversations because it's necessary to be grounded, right? But at the same time, if you don't step in front of or build that bull riding scenario, you're not going to, take advantage of a lot of opportunities.
Hassan, risk appetite or a greater risk appetite to have now in this kind of era or not to have?
No, for sure. I think the thing is, we only generate a return if we take a risk. There is no other option. Like, we've got to take a risk. But the thing is, you've got to take a calculated risk. And so that calculation is different for different kinds of investors. Late-stage private equity guys are all about the numbers. They're like, we're going to invest in this company, we're going to grow it XYZ, we're going to fire so many people, and we're going to make money this way. That's not what I do. We invest at the seed stage, really early on. So all I really have to go on is I need to back the right people. So I'm taking risks on individuals, on teams, and little signs of they're able to execute, they're able to do something, they have customers that are interested in it. But the way I can do it is because I understand risk in a different way. I'm not taking risk on an individual company, I'm taking a risk on a portfolio of companies. So the way that we invest is we're investing in 120 companies over 3 years. Out of those, I fully understand that 30% of them will fail. Nothing I do is going to fix that. Like, it's just the math. It's probability, it's risk, it's all of that. Risk is probability, by the way. It's all numbers and everything. So luck is numbers and probability as well. So the way that I look at it is 60% of investments will go to zero. I have to be very comfortable with that. 20% of my investments will give me back my money, which is not really very great. So 80% of my investments aren't going to generate an outcome. Out of that, we then see probably 10 to 13% of the time we'll see a return of 5x, which is good, but not great for our industry as VC. We'll see about 5 to 7% of the time we'll see a return of 20x. And only 1 or 2% of the time will we ever see these great outliers, like the Ubers or whatever, that'll generate a 40 times return on our investment or more. So I'm very comfortable with those numbers. So I will go into a deal and I'll be like, look, if I put $100,000 or $500,000 into your deal, it could go to zero, but it could also go up to $50, $100 million. So it's fine to take the risk on the downside when you have calculated it correctly.
Yeah. Chibuzo, I give you the last word. What you wish you had known before you approached your first VC?
Oh. What do I wish I had known? You need the right team, lawyers. You need the right
guidance.
Guidance. It's important on both sides. You need also to understand the instruments. We got really early and didn't understand it. Luckily, we weren't burned. Our investors weren't burned, so things turned out fine. But just looking back, a lot of the painful conversations that we had could have been avoided if some of the things we didn't even know, for instance, what, cap tables meant before we started taking money.
You're like, huh?
Seriously.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, that's all we have time for. Please give a round of applause to Hassan and Chibuzo, who, have become best friends. All right. Okay. Wonderful. I don't know. I think, Hassan, I've heard you argue so much, and, Chibuzo, you're an exemplary entrepreneur. I've heard you fight, but I guess we only argue really at the dinner table. You guys did so well. You're so cultured. Absolutely. Absolutely love it. Now we move into our second debate. Now, we're talking about entrepreneurs whether we're in the audience or even those of you watching us online, we're talking about entrepreneurs having to grapple a lot. But the big question is, do you create for your market, stay humble, stay small, mind your business, stay profitable perhaps? Or do you create for your market and look for that external, bigger market to whom you can plug into, that you can feed and probably make even more money? It's a huge debate, and I'm going to call two extraordinary people, only whom can tackle this. First of all, I would like to bring to the stage the inspiring global economist, Her Excellency Powerlock, who has deep expertise in international trade and development. Please, a round of applause. A round of applause. Powerlock, how are you, my dear? And of course, the gentleman who believes, think small, go fast, grow big. Please welcome His Excellency Fred Swaneker, the chairman of Africa Leadership Group. Fred, how are you?
I'm good, thank you.
Powerlock, have you stepped away from the podium? You want to hug him?
I was just thinking he doesn't even want to greet his opponent. I mean,
please,
I don't want to greet what? Oh, I should come and say hi to you?
I mean,
oh wow. Guys, can you feel the tension already? Wow. Muhammad Ali versus who? I don't know. Well, you know something, let's start off with you, Fred. A lot of successful businesses, global businesses, they start off very small, they start off in their local markets, etc. Tell us, should African businesses focus on global markets? Or should they just say, you know what, this local one is good enough for us? Fred.
That's an excellent question. So I would say it depends. If you want to be a small business, you can stay local. But if you want to be big, you want to build $1 billion business, there's no way you're going to do that in Africa. Very, very, very unlikely that you can build $1 billion business in Africa.
immediately?
Powerlock, yeah.
First of all, I mean, Fred is starting with a very big number here. I think, you know, when we say local, we're not just saying stay in Gabs, stay in Botswana, stay in Rwanda. We're saying be in the continent. And there are lions that exist in the continent, that started in the continent, that have a strong focus in the continent, that are big-sized and big-ticket companies. So it is important, and it is possible, to grow in the continent, and then eventually work your way into the outside market. But a focus of the continent is primarily important for the growth of businesses.
And that's the only way for a business to be able to thrive, with that focus on the local market?
I mean, not the only way, but certainly one of the best ways to do it. Because if you're thinking about what's going on right now globally, I have something in my eye, this is bad. If you're thinking about what is happening right now globally, we are seeing a mass exodus out of, say, Silicon Valley. We're seeing double-digit figures of employment cuts happening, and yet we are seeing high growth, high investment acquisitions that are happening in the continent right now by companies that are global moving into the continent. And I think that is a true sign of the opportunities that exist in the continent, because we have, at the moment, I see him shaking his head, when it comes to e-commerce, we have a 25% year-on-year growth rate, which is 75% higher than the average growth rate. If we're looking at payment systems, we are seeing a much faster growing market than anywhere else in the world. So there are opportunities. Companies are moving into the continent to purchase and acquire innovations in the continent because there is growth. There's nowhere else you're going to get double digits economic growth in the world than in Africa and Asia and MENA, but not in the Western side.
You see, those are what I call vanity metrics. Right? They make you feel good, but they're not actually truly meaningful. Let me tell you why. So the reason I believe that if you want to build big businesses, you have to go global is simply because we have a very small market in Africa. Even though we have a big population, we have a small market. There's a difference. Africa today is only 3% of the world's GDP, right? The other 97% is outside of Africa. And so there's a talk that everyone here should watch from Don Valentine. It's on YouTube. He's the founder of Sequoia Capital, which is the most successful venture capital fund in the world. They've invested in Apple, Amazon, YouTube, even OpenAI, they're in it, right? They know how to pick the winners. And he talks about how he analyzes 50 years of investing that they did, and he's trying to understand what led them to make these massive returns. Was it the entrepreneur, the founding team? Was it the idea they had, or was it the market that they played in? And what they found is that overwhelmingly it was the market that they were in. Big market, great market, mediocre entrepreneur, mediocre idea, huge returns. Great entrepreneur, great product, bad market, they never made money. And just think about it. I believe that there are two ways in which societies get rich. The first is you go and steal it from another society. So this is what the Greeks did to the Romans did to the Chinese, Britain stole from the whole world during colonialism. America was built on 400 years of stolen labor. Portugal and Spain stole from Latin America. So that's the first pathway. The second pathway is you produce something for $1 and sell it to the rest of the world for $20. And then you get rich, but not because you are abusing human rights. You're producing something, you're innovating and selling. This is what China has done. China produces things for $1 and sell it to the rest of us for $20. And then they get rich. So we will remain poor in Africa. We will only export poverty from one part of Africa to the next. If we are producing, let's for example, Ghana and Ivory Coast, we produce 70% of the world's cocoa, right? If we suddenly, but we don't produce any of the big chocolate brands, Nestle, Lindt, everything, right? If you are a Ghanaian chocolate entrepreneur, and you produce this incredible chocolate, and then you're now going to sell it in Somalia or Sudan or Zimbabwe or Kenya, you're going to produce it for $1 and you sell it for 25 cents. And you're just going to get poorer. Why? Because we live on a continent where we make $2 a day. Most people don't earn a lot of money. So you are chasing the small market. And you're not going to create wealth that way. And this, we need to put aside our African pride and our idealism and think about what really works in the world. And when you start to export, you'll see the money coming in. Nigerian musicians have shown us this. Right? Davido gets paid $500,000 to perform, not in Africa, when he's in London.
But that was driven primarily by Nigerians outside the continent.
When he goes to, when Wizkid goes to London, he sells out O2. Burna Boy goes to New York, Madison Square Garden, he's being paid $1 million to perform. Not because he's in Africa. So you produce in Africa, you sell globally. That's when you make money.
But, I mean, the truth here is that Burna Boy, Davido, all of them, the way they penetrated the American markets or UK markets is because of the Africans that are in the diaspora, that are helping them. And it's because they started to be superstars at home. But I want to go back to my vanity statistics. Hold on. Let me go back to my vanity statistics. If they are, then why is it that Network International bought DPO? Why is it that in their own press statement of acquisition, they are pointing to the growth that is expected and they are seeing in Africa? Why are you willing to pay over 200 million for a vanity statistic? Why, at the moment, are we seeing Carrefour Group, amongst others, growing exponentially, looking at penetrating over 15 countries at the moment, if indeed we are only exporting poverty from one part of Africa to the other? Why is it that we are seeing Prosper Africa coming into the continent with such a huge attention? If, again, all we're seeing is that export of poverty from one area to the other. I think that if people are coming here, Fred, if they are coming here, it would be amiss for us to not want to be part of our own story, part of our own harvesting. There is a trend here, and we can't ignore it.
I'm not saying that you don't produce in Africa. All these people who are coming, watched in 10 years, 15 years, they'll all be going back because they wouldn't have made money. You look at all of these private equity firms. No, it's true. Go and look at the private equity funds that raise billions of dollars. They rushed into Africa 10, 15 years ago. In some cases, local currency returns were good. They invested in some company in Nigeria, Ghana, whatever. It made 2x, 3x in local currency, and then they devalued the currency. These guys have all run away with their tails behind their legs. They've left Africa because they didn't make returns. So all of these guys were coming. They see the same vanity statistics. We're going to be 40% of the world's population. We're growing fast.
But isn't that true?
It's not. It's
okay,
not.
hang on.
Sorry, one last thing. One last thing. If you think about, for example, the way in which we have built. This is a perfect example I'm going to give you. When I was at McKinsey, we were doing a study looking at mobile phones, right, when they first came out in the early 2000, whatever. And it was incredible looking at the data. As people started buying airtime, the beer consumption went down. We were so poor that we can't drink beer and buy airtime at the same time, right? Because that's how limited the income is in Africa. So we must realize, now, it doesn't mean you don't produce in Africa. You produce. I see people making fashion, shoes, bags, whatever. Put it on Alibaba, put it on Amazon, sell it globally. You create jobs in Africa. If you're producing film, you're producing music, do it here, but you sell it outside, right? You create jobs, you build the local economy, and you bring foreign exchange into this country, right? But if you don't learn how to sell globally, your business will remain small. You can have businesses. And I'm not taking this away from anyone who has a great business in Africa. I know how difficult it is to build a business, how all the ups and downs of entrepreneurship. But just look at the facts. It will not go huge if you only stay in the continent.
Okay, so this is a perfect segue, Buholo. You're going to help me with the concept of succeeding locally because you are an advocate for it. What does it take for a business to succeed at the level that you believe it can if it stays local?
All right. Before I get to that, there's a little bit more I'd like to focus on the potential of the continent. And I think it can only happen if people truly believe in the development of the continent. As it stands, if we do actively trade amongst ourselves and we ensure that we are supplying and supporting the domestic market, we can unlock well over 450 billion by 2030. This is just 7 years away. And by so doing, we can also inject well over $73 billion into the global economy. Again, these are not vanity statistics. These are stats that have been built out of the global trends that we have seen.
Wait. 60 trillion
that
economy.
We have seen. Hold on. That we have seen in the last 5 years. It's what's built out of it. And we can see African businesses in particular. If we do invest quite well and target the Pan-African market, we can see African businesses benefiting from this growth. Now, what is needed in order to see this particular growth? We often talk about, and I don't like that at this stage it has been heavily politicized, but the African Free Trade Continental Area. The way we have left the AfCFTA at the moment is at the hands of politicians, and it's at the hand of politics, instead of owning it as entrepreneurs and as business people. And I'm saying this because if it only remains at what is it that politicians can do in this particular moment, it's going to take time. But we need to break the barriers of one-stop border posts. We need to particularly take opportunity of the Pan-African payment system and use it. Let's broaden it. Let's ensure that the system works and stop, in part, using the switches that are made out of the US, out of Europe, if we are looking at expanding the African market. There is a lot that needs to be done, but when we talk about risk, and I know this was mentioned earlier,
best too, but the difference is the way we do things here and the way... Okay. The way Africans think and the way the West think is totally different, but it's not because we can't do it. But sometimes we lack a lot of things. For example, I asked one of the speakers a question, and I had a question, and it was all about how to get money and funding. I don't think we need people to keep funding us money here. We don't need investors. In fact, as entrepreneurs, you need to use your head, go to the bank, and get the money yourself, do what you are supposed to do. But the problem in Africa, guys, let me finish my point. The problem in Africa, the rates. The rates in our, actually, what you don't know is what you think is true, sometimes it isn't true. The rates in Africa are totally different to those outside Africa. So we are still down, and we are still like under enslavement. And what I got today here is I should do it myself. Yeah. No, I should learn from other people, learn how they did it. For example, from the other woman who started water pumping. Yeah. I should start you should start first, then let the world see you, then continue.
You know, someone will think you and I rehearsed this, but it's an absolute conclusion to what I believe a lot of people have heard today. But I have an even better, so to speak, and prepared conclusion. Allow me to yield the microphone and the stage to Natalie Shabangwe.
How are you? Wow, a wonderful afternoon to all of you. It's fantastic to see many of my friends around here. Hi, Fred, few faces that I can recognize. My family, my 11-year-old daughter who's here. Jason, it's fabulous to see you guys. Look, I'm sure you've had enough of these statistics already. By 2050, 1 in 4 people on the planet will be African. Africa will almost be at par with Asia at about 2.5 billion people in 27 years' time. Put it into perspective, as a collective, we will easily be like what India and China is today. Consider the India, the Tata, that Fred just spoke about. Consider and financial services in China. Africa will be 25% of the world. The context of whether or not this matters has been heavily debated. Are more bigger population countries poorer or richer? Does it even really matter at all? But I can assure you something. When it comes to demography, size is everything. It's significant, especially in the context of median age. But maybe the question should actually be, why should Africa be at the forefront of innovation, given its very difficult and contradictory contexts? I want to take the opportunity to look at 6 cues to determine where and whether or not we should even bother around innovation in Africa. Let's go back to the demography. The problems that come with size are actually really, really good problems, because there may come the answers we need for us to be able to create for problem solving. Africa is a greenfield playing field. Anyone who has done real economics and practiced it will tell you that it's easier to win in a lower competitive market than a monopolistic and or oligopolistic market. The problems of size mean that the law of survival actually applies. With size often comes necessity, which is the mother of all innovation. There is no argument to the fact that size is potential, particularly on our continent. Size equals addressable market. It's a customer base. No doubt. You are in a customer addressable base in 27 years that will be 25% of the world. Why wouldn't size matter? Size equals buying power. Even at the scalable nominal dollar-a-day economy in Africa. Africa's scale metrics are not that complex. You have to look at the mobile telephony operators, mobile money operators who have some of the largest businesses today that are disrupting financial capitalists, aka banks, to understand why $1 a day matters on this continent. $1 buys you airtime. $1 buys you bread. It puts food on the table. So why wouldn't size matter for the scalability of GDPs? And the forming of new companies upon which scaled markets can be achieved if we create value in the real sense. Secondly, I just caught on the debate that was here. There is no doubt that Africa is a part of a global village. It is not in isolation from the world. The fact that Africa is part of a global village means that we have to leverage. We have to leverage that potential. Take a look at this. 1998, 25 years ago, there were no cell phones in Africa. 15 years ago, there were no laptops in Africa. Today, there are more SIM cards than toothbrushes. There are more devices than people. Internet access is getting better and more affordable. There will be up to 10 billion connected devices in 27 years on the African continent. Add to that Africa's median age, which is 19, and half of that median age is half the population. It's good leverage. You might have had the adage, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. In Africa, we don't have old dogs. Africa has got a young population that can be re-educated and move and scale at speed. Africa must join the global market, but leverage. Make no mistake, it's local economies. Let's talk about maybe 4 of the top or 5 companies in Africa. MTN, Standard Bank, Sanlam, they operate across Pan-Africa. They're not operating internationally. I'm the Chief Group Digital Officer of the Sanlam Group. We're a $9 billion business company. We operate in 34 countries. We're 103 years old. Sanlam Group started its insurance business through an agency workforce. When the Afrikaners realized that they were agro-producing and that they needed to create a derivative instrument that would help them to guard risk their losses, is how this business started. I'm not going to talk about Standard Chartered Bank and what they're doing here 169 years later. I have no business talking about that. So why wouldn't Africa be best placed to innovate? Infrastructure gap is a blessing in disguise because we've got a blank canvas on which to draw from. Africa, actually no infrastructure may be a good thing for Africa. Think about USSD and how affordable it is for people to be able to transact. So we have leapfrogged infrastructure through mobile telephony, fiber infrastructure for connectivity, and green energy in various formats. Great. We also have a non-hierarchical wiki type, not archetype. The distribution prowess of spaza shops, agent networks, merchants, make a massive difference in Africa, getting to the market at low cost. We're talking about capital financing. If you're in Kenya, you know about the Chamers. In South Africa, we'll talk about the SACCOs. In Zimbabwe, we'll talk about the Mukandos. At the basic bare of Africa's culture is angel investment, whose scalable power we need to figure out and unlock. And I don't know whether Ken Jorege is here, my friend, founder of Cellulant, who has just started a venture capital fund for Africans by Africans. Taking a scale up, the Chamas and the SACCOs, is exactly what we need to see more and more of. The land ownership advantage in Africa means that we can pivot for production and create an export market on which innovation can scale and thrive on. It's not everything we have to export. Some will be local economies, other things will export. Fourthly, the technological gains have no doubt enabled Africa to develop. And therefore, I think we can quantum leap as opposed to just leapfrog. Africa's digital intelligence today will be its artificial intelligence power. The data that Africa is harnessing is power in itself. AI has to solve for the education divide on this continent. The democratization of innovation has come in a very, very open season. Altman announced a few weeks ago before he got fired, a developer day, that the company would make available tools to anyone across the world who could create their own version of ChatGPT. This is what's happening in the world, is that we will, in the next 27 years, have super scalable access to tools and services that will allow Africa to solve for its problems. Finally, I will close on this. Today, 96 billion in remittances from African migrants, 3 times more than the sum of all foreign aid. It is important that we count the African diaspora when we count Africa's size. Venture is on the rise. 2021, 4.8 billion raised. That actually makes an average today of 1 million being raised in Africa every 2 hours. Every 2 hours. Africa is one of the fastest growing growth markets. But let me close by saying, make no mistake that the answer for Africa's continent is sitting in this very room and nowhere else. When we look at Africa, it's not enough for us to look at Africa in a 10-year span or a 20-year span. It is very important for us to look at Africa from a 200-year span. The fact that we have businesses in Africa that today exist over 180 years ago is fundamental and important. In 27 years, I will be 67, and my 11-year-old daughter who's sitting in here today will be 38. That's important. I recently celebrated my father's 80th birthday. Joint 80-40, we celebrated 120 years collectively. This is the essence in which, when we consider Africa, we got to be looking at. I returned to the African continent in 2014 from London after Dr. Strive Masiwa asked me to come and give back. I was one of his founders for EcoCash, Africa's second largest mobile money operation, building the business in 7 years from 0 to 12 million customers, 70% of Zimbabwe's GDP. When I was born in 1983, if you asked me whether I would have been at the coalface and the forefront of building one of Africa's most imperative technological divides, I would never have known. This continent has changed, and it has changed for good. And if you do not understand the power of demography and what it will do in a 200-year span, you are robbing Africa of its ability to scale and create. The creative power of the youth, the Generation P, we can see it all over in the Afrobeats, in fashion. In 2022 alone, Afrobeats artists were streamed more than 13 billion times on Spotify. More than 8 billion, the population of the world today. And if you are canvassing $1 a day for the music, you can literally make African billionaires on this continent. I will close in saying that Africa's growth market still has to be serviced, and it has a room and a role to play on the world's global market. We have a lot at stake currently. Geopolitically, the uncertainty, we've just come out of a pandemic, but that creates a massive opportunity for Africa. Where problems are at, where there isn't a lot of geopolitical pressure, is an opportunity to build in stealth mode, and is an opportunity for us to get organized and scale this Africa with a vision of a 200-year span. Thank you.
Natalie Jabangwe, everyone. Thank you so much, Natalie, for bringing all of this to a fantastic close. What time is it? Lunchtime! You got that wrong. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to quickly have lunch, and after lunch, I encourage you to come back into what will be MH 1, 2, and 3, where you can do your meet and greet from 2:30 to 3 p.m. and then get involved in the extraordinary workshops that we have planned for you. Don't forget to scan your QR codes. Before we go, tomorrow is the grand finale. Our top 10 heroes. Give them a resounding round of applause. Let's see them on the screen. Our top 10 heroes. Our top 10 heroes. Men and women from across the continent of Africa for whom we expect you to support and give all your well wishes, from Ghana to South Africa to Ivory Coast. Listen, we are across the continent and we are proud of them. That's who will be vying for, of course, their share of $1.5 million tomorrow. Come tomorrow this time, we will have an idea of who is going more forward. My name is Anita Erskine. The day continues, but you see this gadget over here? Guys, you want to straighten it? I want to do a selfie. AI, no? Can but me, I will not risk my life and stand on it. Hey, just Ivy, come. Just Ivy, come. You thought I would stand on it? Not me. You're not risking your life. You're 2 sizes smaller than me. Just saying. Just Ivy. So I want you to finish us off with this wonderful, boisterous personality of yours. You will step on this thing. Don't worry. ABH is insured. You will step on this thing. African Insurance Company. They will pay. And then it'll, you know what it does, right? 360. Sorry, it's not, I'm like my mother now. You know what it does, okay? Don't call me mom. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, Just Ivy will finish off today with this. Come on. All right? So wait, hold on. I know it's lunchtime. What do you want them to do? You want them to stand up? Please, everybody stand up. Let's finish. Everybody stand up. Michael Mang. Okay, let's stand up. What do you want them to do? You want them to be dancing? If you know Terminator, do the Terminator. If you're like me and Renee, don't try. Okay, so ladies and gentlemen, this is how we're going to go to lunch. Give me King Promise Terminator. Come on. Come on. You're not dancing. Come on. Ladies and gentlemen, come to the Nawa Summit. Come on. And I expect each and every one of you to have lunch and join us right back. I see Bruce. My name is Anita Erskine. We shall see you in a couple of hours. God bless you all. God bless Africa. You want to try? Lunchtime, everybody, go for lunch. Go for lunch. Come on. Lunch is served, everybody. You can stand up, yeah. Ladies and gentlemen, lunch is served. You can go out to the restaurant, have your lunch, and come back here at 2:30 p.m. Come on.
sure you remember when we feel the chest back. When we feel the pressure, I don't want to face stuck. So I put it in my feet, yeah. To end us. Babylon, Babylon.